Recording in progress.
Thank you. Okay. Good evening. Pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40A, Section 11, and Wellfleet, Section 235, the ZBA will hold public hearings on December 11th, 2025, starting at 7 p.m. under Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025. This meeting will be conducted in person at the Adult Community Center, 715 Old Kings Highway, and as a courtesy via remote means per 940 MCR 29.10 and the town's remote participation policy remotely via Zoom. Our first case this morning is 2513. Jeff and Mary Blaustein, Nancy and John Dehan, Kelly and James Dimmock, Louisa Johnson and Jill Havens, John F. and Deborah McGee, Ray Rose and Anita Hirsch, Rick and Deborah Sokoler, John Whistler and Mary Lovejoy, 40 Sandpaper Road, Hill Road, map 23, parcel 190, persons aggrieved pursuant to a violation of Wellfleet zoning bylaw 532-6.22, 974 CMR. Whoops, I'm sorry. That's right. I'm done. Oh, no. I'm not. Back again. 532-6.22, 974 CMR 615.04, and 3110 CMR 7.10. Things I've never seen before.
Well, Madam Chair, I'm going to recuse myself. I have taken some pickleball lessons with Ms. Scheer, and I don't feel that I could fairly judge the case. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the board for this will be Al, Jan, Will, Trevor, and myself. This is an application by persons aggrieved. We've received lots of correspondence. We've read all of it. It has all been entered into the record. We will probably not be reading the letters tonight, but do know that we have studied them. We have visited the site, but I want to make a couple of points as we start our discussion tonight. There are two issues here for this board, for this zoning board to hear tonight. There are two zoning issues. The first is this a business? And the second is, does that business have a right to operate in the district? The applicants appealed to the building inspector, who denied enforcement, saying he did not have evidence that it was a business. Respondents suggest in their paperwork that it is, but can lawfully operate in the district. That's the question before us. I know everyone in this case is a good person, is hardworking, has skills and professionalism. I just would like you to confine your remarks to the zoning issues, because that's the issue this board can decide on. The board cannot decide on anything else. Given that this is from persons aggrieved, I will hear from the people who applied for that first. So, yep, come to the, you're on. Mr. McGee, come and announce yourself. Jen would like you all to, anyone who speaks, to sign in so that we have a record of who spoke.
Sign in, she was right in front of you there, Fred.
Sorry. Oh. Hi, my name is technically John. My middle name is Fred. That's what I go by, so I'm going to represent myself as Fred McGee tonight, if that's okay. And I will say in passing that there are probably 100 places I'd rather be and 100 things I'd rather be doing than this. It feels like we're at a, somebody just said, it feels like we're at a wedding, bride side, groom side. Anyway, with your permission, I'd like to read because it's just to help us organize our comments. I've been sort of designated to be the spokesperson for the 8 abutters and neighbors. Yay me. And here we go. So I just wanted to say before we get started, and I know this isn't directly applicable to the zoning bylaw, but it might be worth noting that this group got together just a few months ago. We, prior to that, had never spent much time talking about the business or the pickleball court. Each one of us had pretty much kept our concerns to ourselves, but at some point, for different individual reasons, that changed and people started talking to each other, and a few suggested that the building inspector ought to get involved in the conversation, and 4 petitioners went to see him, and you know what the result of that is. Our petition was at the time denied. Tonight's the result of that process. It began back in September. And another thing we just wanted to stress in particular, and even though this may seem personal, it isn't. Regardless of how things stand now, some of us have been friends or at least friendly with Beth and Sherry in the past, traveled with them, had them at our wedding. Things have changed clearly, but we think context matters, that this is not personal. And the second thing, it's not about hating pickleball. Clearly there are a lot of advocates. Many of them are behind me. Everyone knows it's a popular recreational activity, and its advocates are very passionate in its support, but it's also true that it generates noise, and a very specific kind of noise that travels well beyond the boundaries of the court. And for that reason, across the country and in several towns around the Cape, that noise has led an increasing number of communities banning pickleball outright in residential neighborhoods, but that is a decision for a town and is not the specific reason that we're here tonight. So what is it the petitioners are asking of the ZBA? Basically, it is denied the business called sheerforce.com from renewing its business license to operate at 40 Sandpiper Hill Road, and to make clear that giving lessons is prohibited. In Wellfleet, there are rules in the form of zoning bylaws that apply to establishing businesses in R1 residential districts, and this group of neighbors and abutters are here to address what we believe is a specific violation of those rules. Specifically, the issue we're bringing to the ZBA is that a business is operating on Sandpiper Hill Road that violates the letter and spirit of the local and state bylaws. The name of the business, as stated in its application on the business license, is sheerforce.com. A simple web search will show that sheerforce.com is a Cape-wide business with multiple teaching locations and multiple instructors. As such, it does not fall into the same category as a typical local home-based business. As we stated in our letter to the ZBA, sheerforce.com is not claiming, nor could it, that it is a home business, which by definition requires that the business reside in a building or within the residence. Therefore, the only basis that sheerforce.com is claiming to have the right to a business license with permission to operate in an R1 district is to have a designation as a home occupation, bypassing the requirements to file for a special permit. On that assumption, we, the neighbors and abutters, note that the town's definition of a home occupation in section 6.22 clearly states that the purpose of the bylaw is, this is a bullet, to allow by right and regulate the conduct of a home occupation as an accessory use, to allow residents to utilize their homes as a workplace and a source of livelihood under certain circumstances and conditions, to ensure home occupations are compatible with the neighborhoods in which they are located, and to protect neighborhoods from adverse impacts of activities associated with home occupations. There are 11 sections to bylaw 6.22, but there are several that specifically apply to this case. And that is that there shall be no exterior sign or other display except as permitted under section 7, signs, and no exterior indication of the home occupation which detracts from or is in conflict with the neighborhood's character. Also, that there should no offensive effect of the home occupation shall be perceptible off premises, including but not limited to noises, vibration, smoke, dust, odor, heat, glare, fire, hazard, electrical disturbances, or interference with communication devices or other hazard or nuisance. Traffic generated by the home occupation shall not significantly increase the volume of traffic in the neighborhood so as to create any traffic hazard, nuisance, or congestion. In addition, the Wellfleet bylaws defined in the Home Rule Charter define a home occupation more broadly as a business activity conducted as an accessory use of a dwelling by a member of the resident family, either entirely within the dwelling or within an accessory building located on the same lot, allowed by right as shown in Use Regulations 235-5.3a residential, subject to the limitations of 235-6.22 of the bylaw. In no way can a pickleball court be considered as being entirely within a dwelling or in an accessory building. Commonwealth of Massachusetts regulations are even more limiting in the definition of a home occupation, equating it with a home business. Some of the petitioners here would like to make some brief statements on their own, and with your permission, they're mostly on Zoom at the moment. One is here, and I should probably mention that of the 8 petitioners, most don't live here full-time, so there are several on Zoom who are available to speak, and a couple would like to make some specific comments, if that's all right with the board, or should I just go on?
I think you need to finish, and then if we...
Fair enough.
We'll hear from
So-
people afterward.
So my final points would be these. We'd like to make a few quick points about the justification for denying our petition as they are stated in the materials that Ms. Shear and Ms. Singer presented to the ZBA. On the subject of noise, relative to absolute volume, there have been studies done on how the specific whack of a pickleball noise cuts through background ambient noise more directly than others. For example, a tennis court, probably having to do with the materials used, which is a hard racket and a hard ball. While the town's noise bylaw is vague about what constitutes an offending dB level, it does state the decibel standard. The noise is considered a violation if it is, quote, plainly audible at a distance of 150 feet from where it is produced, and it is. We also noted that the noise study was done by the, I don't know what you call them, I'm going to say defendants. We think that that is beside the point. No one is saying that the noise that's transmitted 150 or even 350 feet away is equivalent or louder than it would be if you were on the court. However, the recording we submitted, and it was amplified, I want to make that point, was meant to identify the fact that even at 150 feet away, where the noise, where the recording was made, it was very clear, it was a very easy thing to perceive. And I guess the point is, when you look at the results of that noise study, even though the decibel levels from 150 feet away are not in excess of what the state's excessive noise decibel levels are, they are clearly audible. And a point I guess I would make in general is that, and this probably applies as much as anything to the fact that, as you'll note, the 8 people who are petitioners are direct or near abutters, and most of the people who are in support of the court either don't live in the community at all or are not abutters. They're a further distance away. If you're 150 feet away from this course when there's a lesson going on, you can hear it. You can hear it at a reasonable volume, as indicated in that report. And now imagine that for an hour, 2, 5, sometimes 6 to 8 hours a day, and that is your background noise for the day, often starting at 9 a.m. on a Saturday or Sunday and going on for that long. It's not at 8 hours every day, it's 8 hours Sundays. You never know when it starts what you're going to get. The point being that it's clearly audible, very distinct, and we made over the course of hours extremely capable of disrupting the peace and quiet of anyone who was in earshot, which applies to every one of the petitioners here, including several whose homes are just beyond the 300-foot abutter zone, including the person who made the recording, which was not me. More than half of us have had to close our windows and go inside during the warm weather months just to drown out the sound. And that is the case. And if you think we're exaggerating the impact, as an experiment, try turning down the volume on that recording to something lower but still plainly audible, and then imagine it as your daily background noise for anywhere up to 1 to 8 hours, often starting at 9 a.m., as I said. If you live on a quiet private road in Wellfleet, you might better understand why we're here tonight. And in fact, many of us moved to Wellfleet because it's a peaceful, quiet, serene kind of place. Sandpiper Hill Road is that kind of road, but not when pickleball is your background noise. It's also worth noting that not one of the supporters of the court live close to it, but all of the petitioners do, and we suspect that there'd be more petitioners here tonight if they were as directly impacted as the 8 who were represented tonight. We also noted that Ms. Shear and Ms. Singer have claimed to have mediated the noise by installing a sound-reducing screen and using lighter paddles, but anyone who understands sound would know that it does not travel in a straight line, and in our experience, these modifications have never mitigated the volume or effect of the noise. We have somebody who would like to speak to the noise issue at some point here. We also question the value of the report in so much as it was done with the full knowledge and participation of the residents. There's no way to know if an attempt was made to lower the volume to improve the results. Business license, the building commissioner's letter is the one other thing we'd like to speak to. The case has been made that Wellfleet granted a business license to shearforce.com. In fact, the business license is clearly designated to shearforce.com, which, as we noted earlier, is a Cape-wide business. We spoke with the people at Town Hall who were involved, and they stated that it was a pro forma thing to approve the license. If you apply for a license, there is little to no due diligence done to address how the business might disrupt neighbors. But it does clearly state that it is granted in conformity with the statutes and ordinances relating thereto and may be revoked or suspended if it does not conform. On the question of the site inspection conducted by Justin Post, the building commissioner, and his rejection of the petition at that time, he noted that he did not witness the business being conducted at the time, and along with the business license having been granted, suggested that the petitioners take the case to you, the ZBA, and so here we are. One final point, we didn't come together to petition the town to ban pickleball in residential neighborhoods. That's a decision for a town to make, and it certainly would come to that. It might come to that at some point in the future, but that's not what we're asking. We're here to address a specific violation of the town bylaws. However, we'd like to note in closing that we think there's a gap between two of those bylaws. First being that a pickleball court can be installed in an R1 district by right without having to pass any other test. No neighbors need to be contacted. No hearing needs to take place because it's not building up and it's not digging down in any significant way. However, the second issue is that there's no other shoe dropping that addresses how that court or any other use case might impact the well-being of the neighborhood. Businesses don't operate in a soundproof vacuum. They have consequences for those who are nearby. It seems to us that there ought to be a way to connect these two concerns by doing some due diligence to understand how any business will be used and, if necessary, to give neighbors a chance to react before they become a petition to the ZBA that is almost certainly going to stir up emotions and create antagonism between neighbors who would otherwise be happy to live alongside with each other. And in that, I want to say we thank you for your time and your attention to the petition, and if you have any questions of us, we are happy to provide them. As I said, there are a couple of people online who are among the petitioners who might have some extra comments to make or to expand on what I've already said, and with that, I am done.
I'm going to, before you go, though, ask the board if you have any questions for Fred.
No, I don't think so.
You do realize, of course, that the Shear family, if they're denied a business license, would, still play pickleball on that pickleball court.
And to that point, we're not saying at this point in time that we want you to ban pickleball in a residential neighborhood. I don't think that is our issue. I don't think that's a fair issue for us to bring to you either. This is a specific bylaw issue as it applies to businesses in an R1 district that we think applies. But the question, Falmouth has banned pickleball in residential areas, and they did it based on noise, actually.
Right.
We spoke to the lawyer who made the case for them, but that's not our issue. That is a town issue as far as we're concerned, and we're not even asking you to make that decision on the basis of the town. To me, that seems like if somebody wanted to bring a bylaw change to the town, that would be part of the process of doing that, and that's not what we're here for.
Okay.
Okay. All right, I will let the couple more who want to speak as long as we don't keep repeating the same thing.
Mary and John Lovejoy, or John Whistler and Mary Lovejoy are on the Zoom call. I don't know how you're going to bring them in, but they're there, and they wanted to say something.
Their hands, that would be helpful.
Mary, John, can you raise your hands? Your virtual hands,
Yes, your virtual hand, if you know how to raise a virtual hand.
they're at the top of the list right
Yeah, they're
now.
at the top of the list, they're there.
Should I leave the seat, by the way?
Yes, you can leave.
Can you hear us?
Yes, yes.
Great. Hi, this is Mary Lovejoy, and my husband John Whistler are here, and we live at 85 Sandpiper Hill Road. And once again, I will just thank everyone for being here today to talk about this issue. Fred was articulate and summarized it well. Our perspective, certainly, this is a zoning issue, and that's why we thank you for being here. It is by no means a personal issue, and I mean that quite sincerely. My perspective and our perspective is we just want the clarity, and that's why this forum gives us that opportunity from the zoning board with respect to the regulations and precedents that really cover not only the building of a pickleball court, which I understand is certainly permissible, but really when it transitions from the zoning process and a participation of the neighborhood to understand when such a court is used as a commercial enterprise and that enterprise is in a residential area, how do we have a voice? And I know we have a voice now, and we thank you for that, but we are most concerned of the precedent that we are setting to make sure that the voices can be heard in advance of a situation where there is a conflict, and we seem to have one here. And so we are asking respectfully of the zoning board to clarify the regulations and process, and really focus clearly on the precedent that we're establishing, not only with the pickleball court on Sandpiper Hill, but in theory, this could apply to any pickleball court anywhere in Wellfleet that is built over time. And so we are respectfully asking for your clarification of the views so that we can avoid these conflicts in the future, that we have an opportunity to have that discussion, which you're giving us here today. We thank you for that. So we're grateful for that, and your time and your thoughtful review and your clarity that you're going to provide us with respect to the operation of a commercial enterprise in a residential area that does impact the neighbors, and the neighbors are appreciative of the opportunity to share our views and our voice.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. No, I'll just second the motion.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else who wants to speak? Okay, one more. Come. And again, sign in and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jeff Blaustein. My wife and I, Marilyn, live at 70 Sandpiper Hill Road, part-time. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to address a couple of issues. I'm not going to repeat what Fred had to say, but I may amplify on two issues. This meeting is about a business license. By virtue of there being a business with a great deal of outdoor teaching on some days, the impact of the activity itself has to be considered, and the bylaw prohibits offensive effects, including noises. At least one town has banned pickleball altogether, and many have banned it in residential neighborhoods. They did this for a reason. Residents in proximity to pickleball courts find the noise nerve-wracking. As Fred pointed out, residents in close proximity to the Sandpiper Hill court find the noise aversive and stressful. Obviously, people living at a distance, many of the people who presumably are in this room, do not. But that isn't the point. The pop, pop, pop noise disrupts the quality of life of nearby residents who are within earshot, not people who are not within earshot of it. If it did not, we wouldn't be here today. Neighbors should not have to close their windows to enable Ms. Shear to run her business in the neighborhood. While I appreciate the attempts of Ms. Shear and Singer to mitigate the sound with plastic sheets, unfortunately it was for nothing. Sound doesn't travel in a straight line at the same elevation as the court. Sound travels in all directions, even up Sandpiper Hill, where we are. We're up at the top of the hill. We're the abutter, but we're probably, 10, 12 feet above them, but sound travels up and out of the court, into Wimper Court as well. If you have any doubts, I invite you to visit Sandpiper Hill some quiet morning to listen. I'll end by mentioning that some municipalities are now building fully enclosed pickleball courts. They're enclosed for a reason. It's not just because of year-round play. This is actually happening in Hatfield. Our other house is in Amherst, and Hatfield is building an enclosed one for just this reason. Thank you.
Okay.
There was somebody else with their hand raised, but it looks like it went away. Oh, there it is. Do you want to acknowledge the person online?
they're quick. No, that's Mary Tisser. Okay. They're quick and something new, but we don't need to hear, we've heard so far now about the noise, and people have spoken to the zoning issue, which is appreciated, and they have been very succinct in their remarks. If we have something else that we need to hear, I don't want to cut it off, but I want to give the respondents a chance to speak as well, so. I do see the hand, I'm not sure. Okay, we don't know who that is, so, all right. All right. All right.
Hello, my name is Louise Johnson, and I'm at 20 Sandpiper Hill Road. And I just wanted to say that I support my neighbors, and I thought Fred spoke very eloquently about the issues, and I'd just like to say that I support him, and I support his petition to the zoning board. Thank you. And I am a part-time resident.
Okay, all right. So I think we can now hear from the respondents. And again, sign in and introduce yourself.
I'm Sherry Shear. I'm the owner of Shear Force Pickleball at 40 Sandpiper Hill Road in Wellfleet.
Marie Chung Troslow, representing Ms. Shearer. We do have a PowerPoint presentation today. Wasn't sure whether, can you hear me okay?
Jen is going to show it, yes.
So when you are ready, we can start the PowerPoint presentation. I sat here for 15, 20 minutes hearing what the complainants have to say about their situation on Sandpiper Road. And I was quite interested in the comments. What I don't hear is they're asking for an extreme remedy of shutting down a business, a home-based business, where they have come forth with no credible scientific or otherwise evidence of type of noise that rise to the level of nuisance. Now, we're not talking about, can you hear the sound? Yeah, can you hear the sound? You can hear the sound, but that's not why we're here. We are here because the complainants say that the sound is so severe that it violates the town bylaws. Well, I'm going to show you it does not. And these are the issues that we're going to be presenting before the Zoning Board of Appeals, the two issues before the Zoning Board of Appeals, the two very issues that are most important. But here are the topic areas of discussion for today. Essentially, overview and background of Shear Force Pickleball business, compliance with Wellfleet bylaws and home occupation standards, the noise regulations and sound study findings, and of course, our response to the neighbors' misplaced citations to noise regulations that they submitted in their statements. And of course, and our final request for license renewal and affirmation of the code no enforcement by the inspector of buildings. Next one. Our next topic area is the overview and background of Shear Force Pickleball business. And this is a photo of Ms. Shear's home and the pickleball to the left, which shows green and blue panels. These are not plastic sheathing. These are actual sound mitigation panels. Shear Force Pickleball. It's a residence and the court location. The pickleball court is located, of course, on 40 Sandpiper Hill Road and complies with licensure requirements. You know, the business operations of pickleball, of Shear Force Pickleball is a full-time coaching business operating, as Mr. McGee indicated, in multiple Massachusetts locations and runs lessons as an ancillary location in Wellfleet. It is not their dominant primary location where they conduct business. It is simply an ancillary location where they provide private 1 to 2 or sometimes maybe 3 player lessons. And it occurs during the day. a couple hours a day, sometimes a few more hours in a couple of hours. The personal ownership of this business is Sherry Lynn Shear, and she's owned this business since 2000. She has owned the house since 2005. So she's a long-term resident of Sandpiper Road. She established her connection Wellfleet, in other words, for, let's say, 20 years now. If I do my math correctly, I'm an attorney, so math is not my forte. The licensing history of pickleball court. The court construction timeline. The pickleball court was built in 2020, following all local bylaws and building codes at the time of construction. The business license was issued in 2022 and renewed every year, including this year, and is up for renewal in January 2026 without any incident, without any issue. The operation of the use of the court has been in place since 2022, so it's only been in operation for 3 years. And you can see the photograph on the left side. It is a license to perform lessons from the pickleball court from her own home. You know, the neighbors had complained to Ms. Shear on occasion, and she took immediate action to alleviate some of those concerns by buying sound mitigation panels for her courts. And she also bought, you know, high-tech stuff, basically, in the world of pickleball for sound deafening balls, paddles during the course of operations of her business. So she took remedial measures to alleviate some of the concerns that the neighbors had. But the next photograph shows the pickleball as it sits today, but not necessarily today because there is no pickleball lessons today because it's very cold, so the panels are down. But these panels show the condition of the pickleball courts during a typical lesson. So you can see that the panels is all around the court, two sides of the courts, and especially on the side facing the McGee's property. The next slide has to do with compliance and Wellfleet bylaws and home occupation standards. Essentially what you guys are looking for to determine whether to uphold the inspector of buildings decision of no enforcement. The home occupation rights and relevant bylaws provisions. So the bylaw actually provides a home occupation as a right without special approvals. In other words, it is a matter of right. It does not require any special permitting. It doesn't require any special waivers. It simply is a matter of right. So that right cannot be taken away from a Wellfleet resident unless there are obvious bylaw or regulation violations. There is no such thing here. The purpose of the home occupation here is to provide residents of Wellfleet a livelihood. Now, what the McGee's and the rest of the complainants are asking you to do is take away my client's livelihood. That is just an extreme remedy. Let's talk about some of the lessons, scheduling hours that are conducted at the pickleball court. And I say court, is it a single court? We're not talking about 8, 10 courts. We're only talking about one single court. The operation of the hours by bylaw, it essentially requires that, let me go back. So it requires a certain number, only certain numbers of employees can be employed by the business, and we certainly do not have more than one employee and performing the coaching at the location. And it, in fact, allows a home occupation to conduct business from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Now, does my client do that? No. She only conducts and performs some of the coaching on, 4 hours a day, sometimes in the afternoon, but never from 7 to 8 p.m., which is she actually is allowed by the bylaw. So she's not doing that. So she's in full compliance with the hours of operation of the, based on the bylaws. She's also in compliance with the number of employees that she can employ for this business, which she has one. She is allowed more than one employee to perform the business. And again, this is a seasonal business. It runs from April to October, and it varies in terms of the hours, and it peaks in July and decreases slowly into October. And you will see all the data in the affidavit that my client submitted to you for review. So my presentations really highlight of what is already contained in the affidavit and our documentary submittals. Let's talk about the traffic and parking. Although this was not substantially addressed at the petitioner's or the complainant's presentation, I want to address that. The home occupation says traffic must not significantly increase neighborhood traffic or cause hazards and congestion. And by no means does one or two cars that come to take lessons, cause any type of hazard or congestion or increase in traffic that would cause multiple delays from getting to their homes or anything like that. It is just an extreme exaggeration of the traffic that does not go through Sandpiper Road. And again, I point out that there is no traffic study that the complainants have put forth before this board what the traffic is. It is only their perception. And perceptions, I say to you, are sometimes incorrect. Let's go on to the employment signage and advertising compliance. Does the business comply with all these? Absolutely. So only the owner provides lessons, okay, employment limitations. There are no signage. You guys went out there on December 10th, and there are no signage. You wouldn't even know that there is lessons being held at the court. There's no advertisement online. There are no marketing online pointing the home location, as a place of lessons. That is all by word of mouth, and it is not advertised anywhere on the website, nor at the home. There are no signage. There is nothing on the mailbox that says Share Force Pickleball. All right, let's go to the most important and salient point of our presentation, which is the complainant's noise. All right, and we're not talking about nuisance because all they talk about is noise. All right, so there are some standards regards to what noise really and nuisance really means. And so these are just taken from statutes and cases in Massachusetts. And again, this is just a highlight. The actual cases and the provisions are in the affidavit of Scheer. Home occupations must not cause perceptible nuisance like noise. Okay, we're not talking about just noise or sound. We're not saying that they don't hear sound. We hear sound from everywhere, but that has to rise to the level of nuisance in order to be a violation of the town bylaw. So have they shown that it is a nuisance? No. So let's talk about what that means. There are some courts that say noise is a nuisance if it annoys an ordinary person and interferes with comfort and habitation enjoyment. Have you heard how it interferes with comfort and habitation enjoyment by all complainants? No, you have not. In fact, some of the complainants only say, I support the rest of them. But they really have not suffered, and they have not come forward with any information, the documents that they have somehow no longer feel comfort in their own home. Only a few have, but the rest, if you look carefully in their statement, there's nothing like that. They don't say anything that somehow the sound coming from the court has somehow deteriorated their health. They have increased their anxiety, have increased their stress, nothing. There are no words like that in any of the statements that they have proffered. This is what we're talking about. This is what nuisance means. It has to rise to that level. We don't see it here. Reasonable comfort threshold. This is another definition. The noise standard considers the reasonable expectations of health and comfort by ordinary people under typical conditions. Now, these are not ordinary neighbors. They have a history, some of them have a history of antagonistic behavior, which is really not
I want to
yours.
stop you there
Yeah.
because we went to avoid personal.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yes, so.
What
you-
I was
you
gonna
can
say,
talk
which
to
I will
me,
not go
I
into.
don't- I don't need to hear
Right.
the history.
Right, that's exactly
you.
right, which I said I'm not going to go into,
No.
but we know that.
If you want to talk about noise, talk about noise.
So, and of course, some of the factors that you may also consider is the multitude of how many people are affected by the pickleball court playing. Let's go into the noise regulations and the sound study that we had put together for this panel. There are two main standards, noise standards. One is a national and international standard. It's called ANSI S 12.9 standards. ANSI S 12.9 provides guidelines to quantify annoyance from sound, focusing on impulsive sounds like pickleball impacts. ANSI is used by many of the sound study experts in deciphering whether a certain level of criteria of noise has risen to such a level that it becomes a nuisance or annoyance. The ANSI recommended noise limits. The standard sets maximum day-night noise levels at 55 dBA for a single family, which is what this is. And what does that mean? Well, we can talk about that when we get into the sound study. So just remember, it's 55 dBA. That's the operative noise sound level, 55 dBA. There's another standard, it's actually a statutory regulation, no longer a standard, adopted by Massachusetts. And a number of towns have adopted the 310 CMR 7.10, and we think that town of Wellfleet may have adopted too, but I think this is perhaps a case of first impression in terms of the usage of this regulation vis-a-vis pickleball sounds. So 7.1 essentially provides with certain levels, dBA levels of sound that must meet in order to be in excess of the standard for 310 CMR 7110. And it says that noise limits based on the CMR specify the broadband noise source must not increase the background noise levels, where the background noise levels is characterized by the 90th percentile sound level on L90 by 10 decibels. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that the sound study has to include the background noise, because that will be the ambient noise, and it exceeds the standard or policy if it exceeds by 10 decibels. So if the ambient noise is at 40 decibels, the additional noise from the pickleball cannot exceed 10 decibels. So in other words, it would exceed the 310 CMR 710 if the ambient noise is 40 and the additional pickleball noise being picked up is 40. So that becomes 80, right? So that will be way too high for the regulation. So what will be reasonable in the situation here? It depends on what the ambient noise is in that neighborhood. And so the study was based on the ambient noise plus 10 decibels to see whether it reaches the threshold set forth by the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. There's also a tonal requirement, so it's both the decibel, the level of the sound, and the tonal requirement. The tonal requirement set forth by Mass DEP 7.310 CMR 7.1 says the noise policy describes tonal noise sources to be sources where any octave band center frequency exceeds the adjacent center frequency sound pressure levels by 3 dB. We also did, so the study also included this particular study. The company that actually did the study is available for any questions that the panel might have after my presentation. So if I am not clear about the study, you guys are free, and they will be available to answer your questions in more technical terms. I'm here only for highlight.
Excuse me. Sure, sure, sure. One of the members of the board has a question for you right now, so I'm going to interrupt you for that.
I have a question. I mean, just in my mind, I know you can go on after I ask my questions, but noise has, in my mind, noise has nothing to do with this case. Let me,
Go ahead.
if you don't mind, what you seem to, I mean, do you admit that this business is totally outside? It's not within any dwellings?
It is within the property of
No,
the
no,
house.
that's not my question. My question to you is this activity, this business activity, which you've admitted is a business, is it conducted within any of the structures located upon the land?
Absolutely. The structure that...
Oh, the pickleball court is
Yes, it
inside?
is. I didn't say it was inside. It is within the structure, and the structure is actually the land on the pickleball.
Oh.
I'm sorry, the land on the premise.
So did you read,
And-
you conveniently have not mentioned the definition of a home occupation. And the home occupation in the definitional section says a business activity conducted either entirely within the dwelling. Well, that's certainly not the case. Or within an accessory building located on the same lot.
That is an accessory building.
You really?
pickleball-
You
a
can say
pickleball-
that without smiling? I
A
mean,
pickleball-
I did zoning work for 42 years, and I used to look in front of a mirror. And if I could make a point without laughing, I would say it before a board. But for you to say, well, anyway, I've just made my point.
But,
May I say
Yes.
something?
Yeah.
So I have a business,
Yes.
and I have an office in my dwelling, in my home, and I do lots of scheduling. I also have in my basement, I have a wall, and I have equipment, and I have all of the...
It says entirely, not entirely to common sense is 100%.
Yeah.
Right, 100%.
I simply going to differ in your interpretation of the definition of structure and the definition of what the pickleball court is actually located. The pickleball court is located within the dwelling, and the dwelling is the entire property. It's not necessarily the building, and it also satisfies the requirements of being an accessory building or an accessory structure. It is an accessory structure.
There's
It does
no
not have
word-
to be
there's no
closed.
stru-
Well, let's hold that for after. Let's let her finish her presentation, which I don't think we need quite as
I was
much
just saying,
detail
if-
on the noise.
My only comment is, you're not going to make any friends with me, at least, to go through, hours of
Noise.
testimony on sound when I deem it's irrelevant.
Right. So
Okay.
we would really like to have less on the noise because, as I said, our questions are, is this a business? And if so, is it allowed by right in the district? So we have read the study, so we don't need lots of detail on that.
Okay, but my position is that
Yeah,
it
I know.
completely satisfies
right.
the home occupation. And in fact, it satisfies it in the sense that the building inspector, in fact, provided the license, and every single building inspector issued the business license, seeing the pickleball court, where it's located. So I think that the building inspector certainly has knowledge of what is accessory building and what is allowed and what is not allowed in terms of where the business is conducted. And I also note that there are some businesses that are conducted within the house, the house itself, and in the land in which they provide the services. It could be landscaping services, certainly, and it's not all within the building, and they can certainly, or many of these businesses have been granted licenses to perform work from their homes, including the use of their land. So all the home occupation that does allow is the use of their land. And this is exactly what this is the ancillary use of their land to conduct business from their home. It's no different. So the only thing one might perceive outside is the lessons themselves, but there's a lot of administrative operations that are conducted within the home.
I would also like to mention something. Fred McGee had mentioned that I teach 8 hours a day on my court, and that is incorrect. I do teach from 9 to noon on most days, and once in a while I'll teach at 4 o'clock. So I'm only using my court on my property 25% of the time. I never teach 8 hours a day. I never teach 6 hours a day. And I have presented my calendar to all of you to see how many hours a day I do teach, because I am teaching at other towns. So I leave my home right around 11 or 12 o'clock in the day, and I go elsewhere.
Just for the presentation itself, as it is a record which will be available on appeal, I would like to finish my presentation, although I know that you may not be too keen on noise, but that is the predominant reason why we were told the abutters and neighbors are complaining about, and we do not want to waive that issue before this board, even though your position is that you're concerned primarily with whether this is it is a home-based use of the property. So with further ado, I do want to go into the distance between the pickleball court from the complainant's homes. Next one. You will note that we did Google Earth measurements from each of the complainant's home to the pickleball court, and the closest one is, of course, Mr. McGee, and the next one is the Deans. The rest are 200, 300, and 400 feet away from the home. So there is no way that there could be any type of nuisance generated from a single pickleball court usage. The cross-spectrum measured distances of 4 of the residences, and they measured it even closer than their residents because they didn't, go into their property to measure. They did it, up to the potential driveway going up, but not onto their property. So that's why the numbers and the distance from the home to the complainant's homes are a lot less than what they really are. Next screen. So this one shows just the Google Earth presentation of where the relative homes are. And you can see that the homes on the left are far, far, far away from 40 Sandpiper Road. And there's a lot of foliage between those homes and 40 Sandpiper Road. The only ones that are close, of course, are, like I said, the McGees and the Deans. And even then, there's still a lot of foliage between the homes. Let's go into the next screen, which is a cross-spectrum acoustic sound study. So this is a study that was performed because the complainants were complaining about noise, not necessarily that there was an illegal use of the home, but that there was excessive amount of noise. So we did commission a sound study to decide or to help us decipher whether there in fact was too much noise. So they measured it at 90 feet from 75 Nahat, 280 feet from 70 Sandpiper, 130 feet from 5 Winbro, and 160 feet from 5 Sandpiper. And the summary of the findings, you can just, next one. You could just simply see the column on the right, and it says, does it exceed the limit set forth by 310 CMR? And it says no. And I'm going to skip the sound study summary of findings. So next screen. It's for the town of Mashpee, changes to pickleball courts. Now, this may not be as relevant to your issue here, which is the home use of the business. In Mashpee, 2 years ago, they also conducted a sound study to determine whether the noise level at the courts were in excess of the Massachusetts DEP regulation. And the same company did the study for Mashpee, and they came up with higher decibels in those courts than what the courts are, the level from my client's court. So the next screen, please. I know it may be hard to decipher, but the top one is the results from the Mashpee courts, and they have 8 courts running. And the table on the bottom is the court from 40 Sandpiper Road. You can see that the average LEQ 10 minutes is like 51, 52, and so forth, and 62. And then ours is 40 in the 40s. It's a big difference because in Mashpee, they got the results of the sound study, and they did not do any further mitigation of their courts, despite complaints that from the neighbor that it sounded like a machine gun. They didn't do anything. They didn't mitigate further of the soundboards. They didn't require any other usage of balls or paddles. They just simply opened up the courts and allowed everyone to play during the marked hours of play. Okay, so if you could turn to Wellfleet bylaws, Chapter 179, noise. The complaint is actually cited to Chapter 179, Wellfleet bylaws, Chapter 179, noise. It's misplaced because they mentioned something about 150 feet, and if they can hear the noise within 150 feet, then it is a violation of Wellfleet bylaws, but that is not the case. The 150 feet has to do with the noise coming from 10 p.m. to 8 p.m., and there is no lessons between 10 p.m. and 8 p.m., so this particular bylaw does not apply. They also mentioned another CMR, which is 974 CMR 5.04. But again, that doesn't apply either because that CMR deals with Deficit Enterprise Commission, which is a totally different zone than a city zone than we are. And we do not follow 974 CMR 5.04. And lastly, we're going to request that the Zoning Board of Appeals confirm and affirm the building inspector's decision not to take any enforcement action because there's no enforcement action to be taken. My client's in full compliance with the bylaws for usage of her home as part of a business. In closing remark, in terms of your concern, whether she complies and whether she is a home-based business home use, she is. So just because she has ancillary work done at the courts does not negate her ability to run a business from her home. She runs the business from her home. All the administrative, all the bookkeeping, the accounting, the personnel from, that she works on her other things, scheduling, all of that occurs at her home. If you want it within the dwelling, well, you definitely have within the dwelling essentially for all her business. Now, the question really is, can she use her land to augment the business? And the answer is absolutely. She can use her land to augment the business that she performs. Just like a lot of the other businesses in Wellfleet where they have use of their land to perform some of the business that they perform. The landscapers, the truckers, the delivery people, people who actually work from home.
Oystermen and women.
And oystermen.
Yeah, and women. They all use their property for their businesses.
So you essentially, a vote to deny a license, you're essentially voting to deny the livelihood of many, many, many Wellfleet residents to conduct a business from their home with the use of part of their land. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. I think I'm going to the board now. So I'll start with you, Trevor.
You're starting with me?
Yep, I'm starting with you.
Okay. I'm probably going to say a number of things that other people are thinking as well. The home occupation definition, as Will mentioned, requires that all the activity entirely occurs within the dwelling or the accessory building. In this case, it's not occurring within the dwelling or accessory building. That's further limited to 25% of the floor area. I don't know what the floor area of the main dwelling is or what the floor area of a pickleball court is, if you could argue that a pickleball court has a floor area, because it's not a
Well,
building.
it doesn't have a roof,
Right.
which is the definition of a building.
Right.
And
So-
so a building has to have a roof.
Yes, and so they limit it based on floor area, presuming it's happening within a building, but it's not happening within a building.
Right.
So, to me, this seems like it's an subset of a larger business. This isn't a home occupation that, is a craftsperson making something in their home. This is a larger business that's conducting a portion of it within their home or within the property. The section that talks about home occupation says it shouldn't have an effect, no offensive effect, including noises. And that's obviously a debatable point, but I would argue that if this much of the neighborhood has come out in opposition to it, then it certainly is having an offensive effect on these people. Likewise, it says it should be compatible with the neighborhood. Again, that's also debatable, but I would argue that if this many people from the neighborhood have come out against it, then perhaps it is not compatible with the neighborhood. And the last point I want to make is that the defendant, or whatever we call them, submitted their calendar indicating when they teach pickleball lessons, with the lessons that are taught at the property highlighted. And the home occupation bylaw specifically prohibits home occupation activity on Sundays between Memorial Day and Labor Day. And there are a number of instances highlighted in this calendar where pickleball lessons were taught on the property on a Sunday, either before Memorial Day or after Labor Day. And this is from the defendant themselves. So, I mean, that right there tells me that this is something that is not a home occupation. So those are my points at this moment.
Will?
Well, I sort of had my say.
Yeah.
But I just will add, I really took offense that you said to all these people, there's no evidence. I could have taken notes. There's no evidence that the sound was offensive, I'll say. So you're like discounting all of these people. I haven't seen a crowd this big in here in decades. And to act like they're all full of nonsense. I think I know who's full of nonsense here. And,
Well, be kind.
yeah.
I have to ask the audience to be silent. I'm talking to the board right now. So this is the board's turn. I'm not calling on the audience right now.
The bylaw is just so clear that, that it's got to be within a building, something with walls and a ceiling. Someone you don't need a lawyer to figure that out. Someone with an 8th grade education could figure that one out. Anyway, that's my comment.
I'm going to call on Jan.
Okay. Trevor and Will have basically covered everything that I was going to say. I do want to read to you our definition of an accessory building, because we have a definition of accessory building, and it's not yours. And it says a supplemental building or a portion of a main building, the use of which is incidental to that of the main or principal building, and which is located on the same lot therein. It's a building, a roof building. I was on the planning board when this bylaw was drafted and the definition was drafted, and exterior, and you can tell that from some of the sections of this bylaw, that's for storage. That's not for conducting your business outside. The definition is clear. It has to be within a building, and it's not. And everybody else covered what I was going to say. So thank you.
I would only,
Oh, I'm sorry, may I say
Go
one
ahead,
more
yes.
thing? I think there's some confusion. We don't issue business licenses.
No.
You can
And we have no
conduct your
control of
business within, that's the town, town administration. You can continue to conduct a business inside your house. That's not what we're deciding tonight. We don't issue building permits. I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no. I think in your presentation, you were suggesting that the pickleball court itself is a building, because that would be the only way to make it conform into the definition of what home occupation is, according to the regulations and bylaws that we have. But the definition of a building is a structure forming a shelter for persons, animals, property, or an activity, and having a roof. That pickleball court is not enclosed, and it doesn't have a roof. If it was, and the walls were soundproof, I don't think we'd be here. But here we are, and you are not compliant with the regulations, that we have in the town.
My comment to that is
I'm not sure I asked for a comment, but I did want to let the other occupant of the.
Well, you're sitting on the board as well. You should.
Yes, I'm sitting on the board. I'm going to let her speak before I'll come. I was going to let the other occupant speak.
Beth Singer, 40
Yeah.
Sandpiper Hill Road. The issue here is definitely noise, sound, or we wouldn't be here, as you said. We play recreationally. That's louder than a lesson. They have no issue with that. You say it's not personal, but it is personal to the business, not to playing pickleball. We can play pickleball all day long, from 8 in the morning till 10 at night, and be in compliance with the noise bylaw in Wellfleet, and they have nothing to say. And we will do that, because if Sherry's not teaching, we have many more hours to play pickleball and make noise. This is definitely about noise. And I don't understand home occupancies being entirely in a dwelling, in a building. Landscapers aren't in their building. They have trucks everywhere. Oystermen aren't in a building. They're in their yards. Mechanics or woodworkers, they're all working outside. We hear them all the time. So I don't know any home occupancy that is totally in a building in Wellfleet. And I think there are people here that have some home occupancy businesses that can attest to that. I think that's all I want to say.
Good. Because I think it's my turn, and I said at the beginning that the questions before us are, is this a business? The building inspector, when he made his site visit, could not determine that it was a business. It obviously is a business. We answered that question. The second question is it allowed by right in this district? The only way that business pickleball could be allowed by right in this district would be if it were in fact either inside the house or inside an accessory building that had a roof. And it is neither. And therefore, in my opinion, it cannot be allowed by right. And therefore, yes, it is certainly true that there is no restriction in Wellfleet against people having a home pickleball court and playing their pickleball. But this is not a home occupation, and under our definition of the bylaw. That's where I am. And I would entertain a motion to go to findings.
I so move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. And this is what I have. John F. McGee et al. Regarding property located at 40 Sandpiper Hill Road, map 23, parcel 190, owned by Sherry L. Shear and Beth Singer in the R1 zoning district. Number one, Ms. Shear, under her business name, Shear Force Pickleball, was granted a general business license by the Wellfleet licensing agent on May 1st, 2025, which license the applicant's claim was issued in error as the business of pickleball instruction is not one allowed as a matter of right in the R1 zoning district. McGree and others, hereinafter referred to as the applicants, appeal the written decision of Justin Post, the inspector of buildings, hereinafter referred to as the inspector, in a letter dated September 22nd, 2025, to Fred McGee, a.k.a. John F. McGee. In that letter, the inspector declined to issue the cease and desist order requested by the applicants against Ms. Shear, ordering her to cease her pickleball instruction business. The claim of the applicants is that Ms. Shear is conducting a pickleball instruction business at her residence, and that use is not permitted as a matter of right under Wellfleet zoning bylaws. Ms. Shear does not deny that she is conducting the business pickleball instruction at her residence, and she states she has a right to do so as a home occupation under Wellfleet zoning bylaw 235-6.22. The pickleball instruction given by Ms. Shear is totally in the open and not within the confines of any structure. Wellfleet zoning bylaw 235-2.1 defines a home occupation as one conducted entirely within the dwelling or within an accessory building located on the same lot. The board finds that the pickleball instruction business of Ms. Shear cannot be allowed as a home occupation as a matter of right, and that the pickleball instruction business shall terminate. I left out the part about the license because I think she's perfectly able to have a license.
Sure.
To do her scheduling and everything else that she does in her office, because her office certainly conforms to the to the bylaw. It is simply the court itself which does not conform. Anything?
Move to accept findings.
Wait a minute.
Make a finding that the material was submitted that shows that they were teaching lessons outside of the permitted days. I'm not sure how you write that into a finding.
Right. Well, I don't think do we necessarily need it? Do it?
I guess, maybe not.
No, that's fine with me.
How would you write that extra finding? In addition, it violates well, if it's not a home occupation, it's just not a home occupation, period. So,
Fine.
all right.
Madam Chairman, I think
Justin wants to speak. We're done at this point.
Done.
Too late. I've gone to the board. Yeah.
Okay, so do we need to vote on our?
We need to move, I need a motion to accept the finding.
So moved.
Second.
It's not a dwelling.
All in favor?
Aye.
Permanent dwelling.
Aye.
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 Put
Do we need a motion to uphold?
No, we have basically not upheld the building inspector.
Okay.
So do we need a motion to, no,
No, that's it.
That's it.
we've done.
That's it?
We're done.
That's it.
We're done. Okay.
I think we did. Well, maybe we should make a motion to,
Require the building inspector to enforce the,
yes.
Yeah, okay.
Request.
Okay, so I need a motion. We're still, excuse me, you are done, we're not, so if you want to have a conversation, take it outside.
I just think we should add
Right.
to the finding that we request that the building inspector, what's that? Oh, thank you. Oh, yeah.
We are not We are in a meeting right now. If you want to talk to us, you're going to have to wait till after we're done, because right now I'm in the middle of conducting zoning business.
Sorry, I came up respectfully to ask.
I know, you did, but we don't have time to answer questions right now. Okay, yes.
You never gave us a chance.
I know. That's just,
What is it?
Will. Will, yes.
I just think we request that the building inspector grant the cease and desist as requested.
Grant.
But I mean, but you get the point?
Issue the cease and desist
Oh,
as
okay.
requested.
Then I think we need
Okay.
to make a motion to amend the findings.
All right, so the motion is to request, motion is that we request the building inspector to grant the cease and, Al, I need you to listen.
Sorry.
There is a motion on the thing to grant, to request that the building inspector grant the relief that was requested by the neighbors.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 I've been called an asshole, though.
That's a motion
offense.
following the granting of the findings. Will made the motion and Trevor seconded.
Your presentation was
All right, we got a couple.
And I'll write that into my findings.
Hi, Ben.
Are you gonna make
Nice to see you.
right in the close and Make a find in the close and
No. We know that.
Good, how are you?
Goes without
But we
saying.
love him anyway, he's our
You know,
asshole.
many of my
Yeah.
relatives,
Yep.
including my
Okay.
grandchildren, are
All
celebrating
right.
Hanukkah.
Well, that was lively.
It was lively.
I sent them a
Grant
present.
the relief
Yeah, we
requested by the applicants. Okay. All right. Moving on. Welcome back, Andy.
Thank you.
All right, board, get yourself in order here. 2514 Dan Powdermaker and Carla Powdermaker, 24 Way 55, map 19, parcel 71, special permit pursuant to Massachusetts General Law 40A, Section 6, and bylaws 235-6.1E, 1B, and 235-8.4B to construct an addition to a pre-existing non-conforming dwelling on a pre-existing non-conforming lot. And the board for this will be Andy, Trevor, Will, Jan, and Al. Okay. All right. I had to write it down too. Yeah, everybody but me. I'm taking a case off.
I have a couple of comments. First of all, it's great to see you all again. It's been a long time. Second of all, it's great to be sitting in this room during a very contested hearing and not have a dog in the fight. I just for your information, we conducted the Great White Trial yesterday. I don't know if you knew that. I was
Yes.
hoping some of you would come watch.
I
No
know
one
you
came
were.
to watch.
I was tempted. Did it finish?
All the evidence went in one day, which was wonderful, so it was good. Your town council did a great job.
Yep.
So,
We get a transcript.
Yeah, the stenographer has to issue a transcript, then we're required to file with the court within 60 days after the transcript is filed with the court, request for rulings of law and findings of fact, which, believe it or not, with AI, you just hand the transcript to AI and it generates all the stuff for you. It's amazing, 10 hours of work in 45 seconds. So, and then, once that happens, and we'll file briefs, the court will schedule final arguments after that goes in, then the court will take it under advisement, and then it could be anywhere from a couple months to a year for a
So
decision.
is there any, so there's no statutory or regulatory provision for the period of time with which the court has to?
I tried one in November, 3 years ago in November now, and the evidence went in April. The evidence went in February, and we waited 18 months for a decision. So,
That's why, after you retire, you will still have to come back.
I know. No, and just so you
To
know, and I
deal
don't want
with the
to,
cases, no, you will. I had a friend who had to do that. He was retired for years,
I
but
don't
he
want
kept
to waste your
being
time, but
called back.
I stopped taking litigation cases about 6 months ago, so by the time, so everything will be cleared out in the next 5 years, so I know I'm wasting your time, I'm sorry, but, may I proceed, Madam Chair? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
My name is Ben Zender, and I'm here on behalf of Dan and Carla. powder maker for their property at 24 Way 55. I think you've all probably been up to see it. It's a really nice property. I've never walked up there. Beautiful view of the water from up there. So they have one of the original structures from the colony, which you know are really important mid-century modern designs. And Dan and Carla respected that, so they actually went through a fairly lengthy process of working with the Historical Commission. Originally, they had designed a two-story structure to add on. They dropped that down to one story, went back to Historical, and received a unanimous approval of the structure. You have in front of you a site plan prepared by Ryder and Wilcox, as well as architectural plans prepared by Mark Sangioli, the architect, Sangiola, the architect. Hi, Mark. I think he's on to answer questions. It's essentially, the existing structure is non-conforming as to its northerly sideline setback. It's 5.2 feet off of 5.1 feet off that sideline. And what they're doing is they're putting a small addition on the front of the house and then a larger addition on the back of the house that respects that sideline to the extent that it's at its closest point 5.6 feet from the northerly sideline. The geography of the site, the topography of the site really lends itself to development in the back of the house. The addition is, it's about 912 square feet, the total addition, so the building size is going up 912 square feet. It's going from 6.06% lot coverage to 11.5% building coverage, so it's well below your 15% max. You can form your own opinion about the architecturals. I very much like them. But that's merely my personal opinion. I think that the use of the house will stay the same, the bedroom count will stay the same, the impacts in the neighborhood will stay the same. I think it's a wonderful project, and I hope you see fit to grant the permit.
Okay. We had we have two letters on this one, which is quick, from Bill and Adri Brewer. We would like to express our support for the plans Don and Carla Powdermaker have submitted for 25 Way 2055. We appreciate the concern they are showing for retaining the aesthetic character of the colony. And the other one is from Jeffrey and Mila Stefani. As the owners of the colony of Wellfleet Hotel, an abutting property to the applicants at 24 Way 55, we are pleased to offer support to the Powdermakers' application for a special permit to construct an addition to their home close to the property line with the colony office, laundry, and staff quarters. We have reviewed the plans for said expansion, and it appears that it will not interfere with our ability to fully utilize the dwellings on our side of the line, nor will it restrict any views from the colony cottages. The proposed architectural design appears to be consistent with the existing Bauhaus design of the original cottage, which was once owned by the colony. We look forward to seeing the results of the renovation after years of neglect and unfortunate patchwork repairs by the previous owner. Those are the two letters I have. I don't think we have any more, right? Yep. Two in support. Is anyone here to speak to this? Nope, just you. Okay.
Online with their hand up. I don't know what.
Online, someone has their hand up?
Somebody named Ray? Do you know
We
Ray?
could hear from them.
I can acknowledge them? I can let him talk?
What?
I can let them talk?
Sure, you can let them talk.
Hi, my name is Edward Miller. Can everyone hear me?
Yep. We can, Ed.
I can't hear you, but I'm assuming that you can hear me. I want to thank the powder makers for sending me their plans about their house. I don't know the powder makers. I am a neighbor at 600 Chequesset Neck Road, and I and my family have been living there since 1974. I do have concerns about this project because it looks like a lot of the addition to their home is going to be in the back of their house, which will impact us and our sense of privacy. I'm also concerned, and I understand that the original walls of the home need repair, but I also believe that the original footprint of the house should be respected because the colony, and I was lifelong friends with Eleanor, which was not given historical recognition. It is an historical place. So I do have concern about how the powder makers are planning to really change the structure of that house from its original plan and its original beauty.
Can't hear us to know that we are thanking him for his. Thank you.
I don't know, I spoke, did you hear me?
Yeah, we did, but you can't seem to hear us, so,
Okay, good.
okay, thank you. Okay. I will go to the board, I believe. Al?
Did we get, was this property evaluated by the historical?
It was. They received unanimous approval.
Right, so that would at least address some of the comments that were just made.
Well, I think the gentleman who spoke has his own legitimate concerns about, it sounds like the effects of this project on his property. I would note that his property is 2 lots removed from this and is also a substantial downgraded from this property.
Right, no, I meant because of the historical.
But the historical,
significance.
I think he's right, I mean, the original, God, I'm blanking on the, Eleanor and Bob did a wonderful job with the colony. It's not a static thing. People buy their homes, they have to fix them, improve them, and make them bigger, usually. So I think that whether or not the gentleman likes the architecture, doesn't like the architecture is immaterial. I think what's important to this board is what are the effects of this project on the neighborhood generally, and I don't see any effects on the neighborhood generally with this particular project.
I have no other questions.
Jan?
I just want to clarify what you said, Ben. This gentleman is not a direct,
No.
he's in a butter to it?
No, I looked it up very quickly. If you look at, in your application packages is the abutters sheet. There's a little map, that's the abutters sheet. And if you can pull that up and look at that, I can walk up and show the board. But he's at.
Oh, yes, okay.
He's at parcel 1963 on Chequesset Neck Road. Do
Am
you
I
see?
looking at this?
No, it's this map right here. It's in the packet.
Oh, it's in the packet, yeah.
So this is the subject property.
Yes.
This is Chequesset Neck Road, and his property
Yeah,
is
I've never seen
1963,
that
it's
one.
right here. It's
Not
there.
that he's not
So
doing
it's sort of,
It'll be looming over him.
and I'm not even sure, I guess technically he's in a butter to a butter within 300 feet, so yeah. he would
Okay,
be-
okay.
What number,
Yeah.
what number did you say?
I'll work on it.
Yeah, work your way down.
So, this lot right here, 1963.
Oh, on
Okay,
Chequesset
it's on
Neck Road.
Chequesset Neck Road.
Yeah, okay.
So I've got a different map.
Locus is on Way 55,
right.
and then his house is this one right here on, so it's sort of a lot removed, and then it's down the hill along the road.
Okay,
Okay.
down here.
No way there. This guy's interfering with that here.
As you said, everyone has their own opinion about architecture, and I'm a big fan of
Trevor's boy.
mid-century modern, and I love the colony, and it's very historically and architecturally important. And I do think, especially since they're not going up 2 stories, which I would not have liked to see, and the Historical Commission has approved of this particular plan, that they're going out in the back, and the front is going to, it's going to be what it was in the
Yes.
front. And I believe they're going to restore some of the original trim. I think they're being, with this plan, respectful of what the colony, what that particular cottage looked like. So that's really all. Oh, I wanted to ask you another question,
Please.
because reading a plan is not my forte. The basement, the full basement is going under this new section, or no, the old section, I guess, or whatever, doesn't matter. But is it accessible from the interior? I think it is, but I'm not 100% sure. It doesn't really
Let me
matter.
see if,
I just wanted to know.
Mark, the architect, I think is online. If he is, he's going to raise his hand if he can hear us.
Actually, Trevor could probably tell me.
Can you get to the basement from inside?
That's all I wanted to know, just for my own, because I
Hold on,
read
I'm
plans all
getting
that
to
way.
that plan very quickly.
Doesn't
It would
matter,
appear
it's
so,
just my
yeah.
own
Yeah.
information. Okay, that's what I thought. I can read a plan, okay.
See?
I'm
We-
done.
Yep, yeah, there is.
We knew Trevor could figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah, that basement, and Jan, that basement stair, if you were to look at the site plan, that basement stair is on the north side of the property. Actually, if you look at proposed basement plan A3, I can't tell, Trevor, that might be a bulkhead stairway.
There's 2. There's a
Oh, no,
bulkhead
there's a
stairway
stairway
and-
right in the middle. You're right in the middle.
Because I thought I saw a
Yep.
bulkhead somewhere. Okay,
Plan A3.
thank you. I just wanted to clarify that for my own personal knowledge.
We have an architect on the board.
Cool.
I'm fine.
Yep. Trevor?
Yeah, I mean, it's a large project, it's a significant project from a zoning point of view. I don't think there's all that much to fuss about.
Yeah.
They're maintaining the setbacks, they're still within coverage.
Yeah.
It's only one story. No, they're not changing the use, so, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you all. My only issue is the volumetric increase. It's quite a bit bigger. But it seems to me that I don't know if it's the owner, but there's a structure right on Chequesset Neck Road that I thought was the original Colony house.
Yeah, that was Eleanor
Eleanor
about
and
Hankey's
Bob's
house,
house, yeah.
that Mihai and Jeff have gone through the process, and they went through the historic process of approving that refurbishment of that house and some additions on that house.
And that structure was, the volume of that structure increased
Right.
a fair amount as well.
It did.
So,
That came before us.
and I thought so, yeah.
It did.
Yeah, okay. So,
Yeah.
yeah, otherwise I'm fine.
Thanks.
That guy Ray he has his hand up again. Do you want to acknowledge him or no? Well, Ed-
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Yep. I hope he can hear us this time.
Hi, thank you
Yes.
for listening to me again.
Yeah.
The difference here that I see it is that in Jeffrey's house, which he inherited from his dear mother Eleanor, he kept the original structure intact and he built around it so that the original plans of that house were respected. This seems to be in the extension of the house in the back. It seems to be disrespecting the original plan for the house that was conceived by the architects of the colony. So I think that's a major difference. And as one of the members of the zoning board did acknowledge, this really does increase the size of the house on the property. I'm happy to hear that they're not planning a second floor, but I do have concerns, personal concerns, because it will enter into our realm. We are not direct abutters. The man who is representing the family is correct, but we are in their world. So having them extend back into the woods there really does affect our lives. Thank you.
And now the architect has his hand raised.
All right.
Hi, everybody. Mark Sangioli, architect from West Harwich. I just want to say that if you look at the renderings, I think it really kind of tells the story. It's really a one-story house still, and the existing, you can see the existing colony structure within the architecture. So it was something that we tried to respect, and you can still see the geometry of it. Okay, so we've added a little bit to the house. It's still a small house. It's only 1,800 square feet. So please take that into consideration. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Move to accept findings.
Move to go to findings. You
Uh,
can't
go-
accept
go-
them.
Sorry. I'm tired.
Okay, second?
I could have made that motion.
Yeah. A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, all right, this is what I got. This is an application for a special permit pursuant to Massachusetts General Law 40A, Section 6, and Wellfleet zoning bylaws 235-6.1E, 1B, and 235-8.4B to construct an addition to a pre-existing non-conforming dwelling on a pre-existing non-conforming lot. The lot is in the R30 district. The lot is lawfully pre-existing non-conforming, having been created in 1971 by a subdivision. The dwelling is pre-existing non-conforming, having been built in 1948, according to the assessor's office. The existing nonconformities regarding the structure are inadequate lot area, 16,553 square feet, where 30,000 square feet is required, and intrusion into the side setback 5.1 feet, where 25 feet is required. The board has made a site visit and examined all materials submitted by the applicant. The addition to the structure will not create any additional nonconformities. There will be no change or increase in use. There were two letters in support of the application. There was one appearance in opposition to the application. The project has received approval from the Wellfleet Historical Commission. The project will increase building coverage from 6% to 11.5%, which is below the 15% maximum. The alteration will not be more substantially detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing nonconforming structure. The board has found pursuant to Wellfleet zoning bylaw 235-8.4B, one, nearby land uses would not be damaged by having the proposed use nearby. Uses of the site would not be preempted by this use. Roads, drainage, and other public services are adequate in relation to the location. The site is not more sensitive than similarly zoned sites to environmental damage from a proposal such as this, considering erosion, siltation, potential groundwater or surface water contamination, habitat disturbance, or loss of valuable natural vegetation. The board has found that pursuant to Wellfleet zoning bylaw 235-8.4B2, the proposal does not contribute to the diversity of services or housing opportunities available locally. There are no seasonal consequences. The residential development will not contribute to housing affordable for year-round residents. The board has found that pursuant to Wellfleet zoning bylaw 235-8.4B3, scenic views have been considerately treated. The project was redesigned to avoid harming neighborhood views. Reasonable efforts have been made to minimize visibility of parking from public roads. There is no public access to the shoreline from this property. After considering the district objectives for the district as provided for in Wellfleet zoning bylaw 235-3.2 and the relevant criteria set forth in Wellfleet zoning bylaw 235-8.4B, the board finds that the proposed alteration will not be more substantially detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing nonconforming structure because the addition is not extensive and does not increase the nonconformity of the property, and the applicant has demonstrated that the benefits of the proposal will outweigh any adverse effects on the town and the vicinity.
That sounds great. I think you could add, when you're talking about views and things, that it's only a one-story building where 2 stories is allowed.
Right, good idea. Scenic views have been considerably treated. The project was redesigned to 1 story where 2 stories is allowed.
And this might not matter at all, but it's also non-conforming due to frontage, is it not? It's only 100 feet.
True. I think I have trouble with frontage on that one because it's in the colony, so it's like not frontage on.
It's a separate, no,
Yeah.
isn't it a
The
subdivided
lot
lot?
is not conforming against the frontage and lot area.
Yeah, I would just add that it's also non-conforming with
Subdivided
regard
lot,
to
right?
frontage.
Okay.
I don't think it makes any difference, but. for
Okay,
everybody.
all right,
And then I'll move the findings as amended.
okay. I'll fix that. All right, I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Made a motion to grant the permit.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, we can stamp.
Thank you all.
I got one.
You know, if you knock that down another 45
Plans as
square
Yeah,
feet,
it does stamp the building
you could
plans.
build a house under the new 48 section 6 bylaw. You haven't followed that one? You haven't, have you followed the
Don't
change?
need this one because it doesn't say anything.
Wait, I can't really hear what you're saying,
Yeah,
so I'm just grinning like an idiot.
Renderings, but I would stamp
Stamp
the
the-
proposed floor plan.
yeah, proposed floor plans, that makes sense,
Oh, the
yeah.
small lots.
Yeah. This, this, this.
I don't know that
Done as
anybody's
a
actually
pat,
done
no,
it.
I can put that, you don't have to stamp every page of that, I don't think.
No, just,
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah, it sounds like I missed something.
yeah.
Oh,
That-
You sure did.
That's who wrote it.
Of course.
I'll have to watch it on TV.
Go back and watch the tape.
Figure what, I don't know if that part got on the tape.
Oh, I heard you.
That'd be a shame.
That would be a shame, right?
To watch the director's cut.
Yeah, you watch the director's cut, I'll tell you.
You need any clips? I got a lot of clips.
Didn't you have a collection of clips one day? You know, somebody brought a whole, I think it was
Oh,
Will.
okay,
She
yep.
gave me a whole box.
I got more of them. Get to the blue part.
Can you staple this piece staple?
I'll put it in that.
It sounded as though it got a little contentious.
Oh, yeah. Okay, mine aren't
Was
blue,
that stamped?
so I can't, you're gonna have to figure out where it is. Okay, there's this. How many do you need, Jen?
Three altogether.
Okay, I need one more.
I understand, guys.
I know.
You run out. You still need another one, Jerry?
I know. Because this is the 24 by 24.
Okay, one.
Yeah, okay, the barn.
Can you give me those so I can stamp it first?
I have an extra set.
Okay.
All right, well, you present it.
Oh, okay, I
On the
have too
record.
many plans right now. Can you hold these for me till I get rid of the last
This is
page?
not what we already
Thank you.
have, though, the 20? Oh, we have 2025. I understand, but this is 2025, which I have.
Thank you.
Okay, now, this is still that other one. That's just still the other one.
Which I have. Okay.
This is the one you're going to get back to me after I no longer have this one to do with, because I can't go.
If you don't mind.
All right.
Not at all.
Okay. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. All right, Jen, we got this for you.
Oh, do you know? That's, I'm stunned.
I got 3 sets, actually.
Oh, Ben didn't get one yet.
Oh, Ben didn't get one yet. Ben, you need a set,
Sharon,
you need a set of the ones we stamped.
how does this work?
So he gets one of these and one of these. Those two. Okay. Yep, that's to that and that's to that. Thank you. Now you can, yep, I went that back now.
That's what we're voting
Okay. All right, and then I can call this, oh, and you get to go home.
Yeah, before you call that one,
Okay.
I'm going to recuse myself from this one. Ashley is a longtime family friend.
Yep.
And I don't feel like I could sit on it,
Fine.
or
Yep.
shouldn't sit on it.
Or
So,
should- It's better for Ashley
I
if
will,
you don't.
You're going to leave?
bid myself adieu.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
Have a great holiday.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
You did your service tonight.
You're going to approve the minutes?
I approve the minutes.
He approves the minutes in abstention. Always. I think we'll have enough people to approve the minutes without
Yeah.
needing him. Okay, 2515, Ashley Fox Rogers, 8 Goldenrod Lane, map 8, parcel 98, special permit pursuant to Wellfleet zoning bylaw 235-8.4B for a private stable. And the board for this will be Al and Jan and Will and Andy and Sharon.
I'm sorry, Al, Jan,
Al, Jan, Will, Sharon, and Andy. It's all you got.
Aaron.
Those of us who are still here.
Those of us
Andy.
who didn't leave.
Okay, so Mick is not here,
Yeah, Mick is not
Mick's
here,
not
and
here.
Manny has the flu.
Manny not here,
And Trevor
Yep.
recused himself.
Trevor
And
recused.
Trevor recused himself, yes.
Whenever you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay, thank you. Again, I'm Ben Zender. I'm here with Ashley Fox, who is your applicant. This is an application of the type that you've seen before on several occasions, many
Yep.
occasions, for a stable permit. Ashley's going to explain the project to you and tell you exactly where she's been with this so far and what it is. But I'm going to just pre-tension you a little bit. The one request I'm going to make at the end of this is a little unusual. In fact, I've never made this request that I can recall. Ashley had already obtained Board of Health approval for a 24 by 24 garage and which is, you have two plans. One shows a 24 by 24, and one shows a 24 by 32. She went before the Board of Health a couple of years ago, obtained the stable permit with all the conditions, the manure management, all the things that are required, has renewed that permit every year and kept it active, but hasn't built the barn yet. But then, in the course of the time, she's decided she wants to build a slightly bigger barn, she'll explain to you, with the same number of stables, which has not yet been reviewed by the Board of Health.
Yes.
So, essentially, the effects of the project are essentially the same, whether it's a 24 by 24, 24 by 32 with 3 stables in it, but stalls, not stables, stalls, I'm sorry. It's getting close to Christmas.
It's late.
It's late. But what I'm going to ask the board to do is to look at both the plans. I don't think there's going to be a difference between the two plans in terms of the effect on the neighborhood and the operation or anything else. I would ask the board to approve, if they see fit to grant an approval tonight, to approve both forms of the plan, so that when Ashley goes back to the Board of Health, if, for example, they don't approve the 24 by 32, she just won't build it. But if they approve it, then she'll build that. If they don't approve it, so she doesn't have to come back here and have another hearing, because I don't think the hearing's gonna be any different than what you're gonna hear tonight. So that's the request, and, you know, if you don't feel that you can do that at the end of the hearing, you know, that's fine. So, but I think you can.
Okay.
So with that being said, Ashley can explain to you her project, and then I'll just be ready to rebut any other comments that come up at, you know, towards the end of the hearing. Thank you.
Okay. So, do you want to, oh, sorry.
Yep.
So I think it probably makes sense to explain the project that's in your packet. And then I can tell you how the other differs. So the barn that is in your packet is 24 by 32, and it consists of 3 stalls and a tack feed room. And in the middle of the barn is a center aisle that's 10 feet wide. And that's the difference between the two barns, is that center aisle. To make the setbacks, it's turned in a different position than the first barn. And it's in a rectangular shape. And it meets all of the building setbacks. So it's 27 feet from the sideline and 32 feet from the road. The barn itself is it's going to be a single story, and the top of at the pitch of the roof, it's approximately 14 feet high. And it's pine sided and will be stained or painted a dark color so that it blends in with the natural surroundings. Okay, so Ben is prompting me to talk about the Board of Health process.
Yep.
So I have had a stable over on Coles Neck Road for 25 years. I've been before you before, and also now twice in front of the Board of Health. And their primary concern really is the manure management piece, which we have all worked out. So my manure management plan with them is that they basically want the manure picked up every day. Between my husband and I, it gets picked up between 2 times to 8 times. But it's basically every time we go out to see the horses, they get 3 or 4, fed 3 or 4 times a day. The manure is always picked up every time we go out there. It's just easier to keep up as you go out, and it makes for easier paddock management when you're picking up the manure all the time. It goes into my dump trailer, which is covered and brought to the dump once a week. And that's what I've been currently doing, and I've got permission to carry on the manure management practices that I do today. Do you have any questions thus far?
How many horses do you propose to have? How many horses in the barn?
So I'm requesting a permit for 3 horses.
Okay.
And there are 3 stalls
Right.
to accommodate them.
You had a question, Will?
Yeah, you said you've been doing this for 25 years?
Yes, 25 years.
Now,
So,
where's your current stable? I mean, is it in a neighborhood? Is it at a farm? Is it, I'm just,
So you
what's
prob- you-
around your,
you've probably been by it hundreds of times, actually. So I live very close to the transfer station. I'm on Coles Neck Road. So if you're coming in from the highway to the transfer station, I'm on the left-hand side, about 2 doors from the transfer station entrance.
And the stable, the paddock is right between the house and the road. When you're coming up the road towards the transfer station, I think it might be the last house on the left before Coles Neck Road.
It is.
before
It is.
Pole
I
Neck Road
pass
comes
it all
out.
the time.
It's
I have
the
seen your
last house.
horses
It's
for
right
years.
by the V of Pole Neck and Coles Neck.
Okay.
So, it's
And
right
how,
there.
I'm just curious, how close is your nearest neighbor to there?
So the nearest neighbor is that tiny house that's closer to the V.
Yeah,
And my fence is right up on my property line and right on the road. There's a 20-foot paper road between my property and my neighbor's property. And I believe her house is probably, it may be about 30 feet from her sideline approximately. So it's about 55 to 60 feet from the fence line.
And you ever have any complaints there?
I have never had a neighbor complaint. The Board of Health has never needed to come out for a special site visit there.
And you had a question?
Yeah, I have, you said that the manure, the trailer that you put the manure in is covered. Could you describe the cover?
So it's a canvas cover that goes over the top.
And how is it attached, if at all, to the trailer?
It's not. It's not like a blue tarp. It's a very, very heavy canvas cover, like a cloth cover that goes over it.
And does it go over the sides of the,
It goes, yes, it encompasses the whole trailer, goes over the sides. Correct.
okay. And is it attached in any way to the trailer?
It is not. It's so heavy that it doesn't need to be.
Probably getting ahead of myself, but I think, or ahead of you, you didn't mention that, or maybe you did and I didn't hear you, but I believe I read that you when you went before the Board of Health, it was agreed that if you went to the dump with the trailer once a week, that was satisfactory.
Correct.
Okay. And is that your intention still?
Yes, I mean, that's outlined in my permit. I have the Board of Health permit,
Right.
and that's the agreement I have with them.
And the number of horses that you were going to have in the 24 by 24 was also 3 horses?
Yes. So the configuration was basically taking the 24 by 24 and sectioning it in four sections.
But it's the same number of horses, it would be the same number of horses regardless of which structure you're
Correct.
talking about.
The only difference is instead of having the stalls in the 24 by 24, I'm
Right, you have a
spreading them
center
out, and now they're divided by a 10-foot aisle.
Yeah, I guess one more question while I've got the floor, so to speak. I'm looking at your 2 stamp permits, site plans. And I noticed that there appears to be a somewhat different shape to the, and I don't even know, I guess proposed paddock. So there,
I can speak to that.
can you run me through that a little bit?
So in the 24 by 24,
Yeah.
and you actually have a photo and a sketch of the interior of that in the Board of Health packet, part of that. And on that, the horses come out the front of the building. So they actually using the 2 garage bays as like a run-in shed. The new barn It's just a better barn, and the way that the horses, so there's an opening on the front, which is the aisle, and in the back, on the 24 by 32. And then the stall doors come out the side,
From the inside.
from the inside.
From the inside.
And they open to, there'll be 3 of them. So there's 2 on the right-hand side and 1 on the left-hand side that come out the side of the barn.
But the entrance to the barn, is the entrance to either barn, let's go to the 24 by 24. Is the entrance to that barn out towards the greater area of the?
For the greater area of the paddock.
Correct. And with regard to the 32 by 24, would that also be on the 32?
It's on the south side of the barn.
Yeah.
Which opens into the paddock.
Got it. I'm just looking for south.
Yeah.
Okay, and also you had is the square footage of the paddock any larger if you use the 32 by 24?
It's slightly larger. So if you look over on the northwest corner,
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
the northwest corner of the 24 by 32 is drawn to be larger.
Right. Northwest corner.
Closer to where it says lane.
No, I know.
Yeah.
That's north, right. That's,
As opposed to, yeah.
I'll turn around. All right, yeah. Yes, and one more question, and then I'll shut up. You have the manure trailer drawn in your site plan for the 24 by 24. Where would the manure trailer be situated if you built the 24 by 32?
It would be in a similar spot. It would be on the east side of the barn.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I don't have any other questions.
Okay. All right. Do you have more that you wanted to go over, Ashley, before we sort of got sidelined into questions, so.
I don't think
Sure where
so.
we are, okay.
I might think of something, but I think that pretty much
So-
describes the project.
We have 2 letters.
Could I ask one question? One
Yes,
quick
you can ask
question.
a question, sure.
Does the Board of Health dictate where
people
you
here,
put
yeah,
that
I know.
manure trailer?
Yes.
Okay, so it's really not up to us to begin with?
It's already been decided on.
And look, if the board approves the 24 by 32, she has to go to the Board of Health, and they're going to
Oh,
dictate
understood.
where they think the most appropriate
I
place
just
to
wanted to know if
trailer
they
is.
dictated that.
Yeah, they will, as part of approval, they will require that location.
It's not up to us to decide where
Right. So,
or even to
Correct.
Ashley to decide.
Right, and it's already been approved. The plan that you see for the 24 by 24, that has been approved by them with the trailer to the east of the barn. So I'm assuming that that would continue with the new barn.
so we have 2 letters and 3 letters, and I believe people here to speak to this. But one of the letters is largely questions. Is the person who asked questions here? Because if not, I'll just ask you their questions, and we can be done with that letter.
Okay, and he may be on the Zoom. His name is
Okay.
David, and I spoke to him earlier today.
Marie
He
and
came.
David, if they want to ask their questions on the Zoom, they could do that. It's Marie DeMay and David Roth. They had mainly questions.
And David came over and spoke to me,
Yeah,
so they may be answered already.
Okay, so let's just go over them. The original approval by the Board of Health listed the stable would be for 1 large and 2 small horses. Renewal of the permit in 2024 said 1 horse and 2 mini horses. The most recent permit is for 3 animals. Is it still restricted to 1 horse and 2 mini horses, or would it be other types and sizes of animals?
Okay, so when when I went in front of the Board of Health, it's for 3 horses.
Right.
When I renew every year, I just tell them like who's actually residing there.
Right.
I interchange ponies and mini horses, they're the same guys.
Right. Okay.
They,
So, but not other types and sizes of animals. It's all in the horse family.
Small ones are just meaner.
Yeah, okay. The
Equids.
original application, second question. The original application was 24-foot structure, 3 stalls and a tack room. The current application shows a structure that is 32 by 24. Can you clarify the footprint? We've already talked about that. Where will the manure trailer be stored? We've talked about that. The permit states that fencing of the paddock will be 25 feet from plot lines. However, the survey shows the corner of the paddock between the barn and Goldenrod Lane measures approximately 15 feet from the property line.
right. Right.
So it's 15 feet from Golden.
The building meets setbacks, fences
Yeah,
don't have
yes,
setback
yeah,
requirements, so
I know.
theoretically, this could, they could put those
Yeah,
fences on the
yeah,
property.
right. It wasn't asked as a question, it just was sort of stated. Okay, all right. Those were the questions that I thought we could probably deal with. Okay, now I think we have people here.
I'm sorry, how many letters did you say you had? Did you say 4?
I have 3.
There's 4. I counted the one from the lawyer.
I counted the one from the lawyer, the one you gave me
I think
tonight,
there's 4.
and the one we just went over.
And Reuben. Did you get Reuben?
I think Reuben was the last one that came in.
No.
No, I don't have Reuben. I don't have Reuben.
Oh, right. So are we, is that 5?
No, 4. You got 4. I sent them to you.
It seemed like a lot.
Okay, all right, and neither, but Mr. Bellman is here, yes, and so he would like to speak, I believe, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Just to clarify, how many letters did you guys receive?
1, 2, 3, 4.
4. You're aware of 3 additional letters to the one that you gave us?
Yeah, you have to talk to the mic, yeah.
You want to, should we step back?
Yeah, step back for now and let him,
Leave,
okay, yeah,
yeah, leave one of each.
yeah.
Yeah, so leave this one.
Before I begin, I just want to clarify how many letters you guys received. I'm aware of a letter from a Zimmerly, a Reuben, and a gentleman by the first name of Nick.
Zimmerly I have, Reuben I have, and I have the one we just went over, which was DeMay and Roth, and then yours.
Okay, I think we are aware of another letter. It may have not been sent in from another one of the abutters.
Who was it?
Nick, I'm not sure of the last name.
Nick?
Nick.
If I did not receive another letter, I'm sure
Okay.
that, was supposed to send one, or you know that he did?
He stated that he did.
Does anybody know his last name? Restivo. Sorry? Restivo. Restivo. Do you know how to spell that?
I believe it's Restivo.
Thank you. I will search my email.
Okay.
Good
You need to
evening.
identify yourself, et cetera.
Absolutely. Good evening, Madam Chairwoman and other members of the board. My name is Jackson Bellamum. I'm one of the associate attorneys at Cindy & Associates, based in Brewster. I represent Dean and Beth Olson, who reside and own 25 Goldenrod Lane. And in the current state of the application, they are opposed, as my letter that I have submitted to the board illustrates, that they'd be willing to move forward with the application if some proposed conditions are accepted. My client's concerns over this project include the health of the community, odor pollution, water pollution, and just and the project's changing of the character of the neighborhood. This neighborhood, I'm sure you guys have been able to visit the property. When I visited, I didn't see any stables, and in fact, my research indicated that there were restrictive covenants that expired in 2016 that limited the use of farm animals. You couldn't use farm animals in this subdivision not until 2016 without the consent of the developer as well as the homeowners. No one since then has actually went forward and put in a stable. That would mean if the stable were to come to the neighborhood, the effects that it would bring onto the neighborhood would be more felt than if it was in a different area. I actually visited or drove by the applicant's property where the horses are currently kept. It is near the transfer station, and I feel that the nature of that neighborhood is very different to the one where it's going to be getting put in now. Apologies, 1 second. I want to point to the board's attention, bylaws section 325, 8.4.b, and that's kind of the criteria for approving a special permit. So looking at the suitability of the proposed location for this proposal, as I've just stated, the pre-existing uses in this neighborhood would be negatively impacted by the proposed project. And then I also want to point to the board's attention, section 235-5.3.a of the bylaw. And this states that uses authorized under special permits shall not be detrimental or offensive or tend to reduce property values in the same district by reason of odor, noise, and other listed factors. Bringing in a stable that's going to bring in the presence of horse maneuver is going to have a negative impact on the properties in this neighborhood. Particularly, it's going to have a negative impact on the properties that are the closest to 8 Goldenrod Lane, and that includes my clients, the Olsons. In the summertime, with the heat, this manure that's going to be in the paddock, you could pick up the manure 2 to 8 times a day, but it's still going to leave a little bit of a trace. And on top of that, the horse trailer, and it's alarming to our clients and other neighbors in the neighborhood that they're only planning on removing the trailer once a week. As was stated earlier, that the trailer is covered by a canvas tarp. We do not feel that's an adequate way of storing the manure as well, and we feel that the trailer's location, as well as the barns, was not planned in account of the concerns of the neighborhood. I know for a fact that my clients have reached out to the applicant and their attorney, and the attorney has worked with them, but there have never really been any meaningful steps made to an arrangement or an agreement between the parties that address these concerns. And that's why we're here before you today. We want to make sure that the concerns of not only my clients, but other neighbors are addressed. And if they are, then they'd be happy to welcome the horses into the neighborhood. Looking at some of the proposed conditions, the main one is the relocation of the proposed barn. If you look at the 2022 plan, it is right on the setback limitation, maybe about a couple foot difference. Oh, sorry.
I found the other letter also.
Okay.
I'll print it out.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for that. I don't know how that
The location of the barn is very similar in the 2025 plan as well. We're proposing that the barn be relocated to the southeastern portion of the paddock. I provided an annotated site plan of the 2025 plan.
Yeah. I've seen it. Yeah.
This would help alleviate some of the concerns, especially over odor. This would place the property more centrally onto the property, or place the barn more centrally onto the property. This way, not only are my clients given a little bit more of a buffer zone between the odor, but also the direct abutters to the north and to the south. With this change, as the plan, the 2022 plan shows, and as we were told moments ago, the manure trailer is going to be stored adjacent to the barn. And after some facts that were mentioned earlier, that actually raises some questions about how the barn doors open on the side. So I want to make sure that's still the plan with the manure trailer. Like we could talk about that afterwards. Putting the barn here would not have a significant impact on their use of the paddock or the stable. It would just help kind of keep the concerns of the neighborhood in mind and show that it's a good faith effort of just trying to help where they can. The next proposal that we have is relocating the manure trailer storage. I've already detailed one location that the manure trailer could be located. On the annotated site plan, I've also drawn out different areas right up against the Cape and Vineyard Electric easement where they could store the trailer. As the trailer is on wheels, I do not think it'd be very difficult for the applicant to bring the trailer in when it's time to clean the paddock and put it back in that spot when they're done. This way, again, you're storing what's really causing the concern here further away from the rest of the neighborhood. And the letters that I've read, this seems to be the largest concern. No one wants to lose the ability to keep their windows open in the summertime or be able to enjoy their deck space because of a foul smell in the air. Also, with the manure, it brings health concerns. It could bring in rodents, flies, other insects that can help increase the spread of infectious diseases within the community. I understand that they had approval from the Board of Health, but there's still going to be these negative impacts. And just small changes to their plan can have a very long and lasting impact on the neighborhood. So we just hope that those proposals get considered. I know already much time has been spent discussing the manure plan as it currently is. As was stated, their current proposal is to pick it up 2 to 8 times daily. The applicant stated that they're planning on picking up the manure anytime they're out there. I see there should be no problem increasing the lower band of that manure plan to 4 to 8 times daily. Just 2 more additional times, that would make kind of the world of difference, just knowing that they're really taking steps to make sure that this manure is not remaining on the ground for long periods of time. We also want to request that a condition be attached to the special permit that the horse trailer be removed 3 times weekly. This would help prevent the manure from stacking up within the trailer and the odors from getting more poignant and becoming more prevalent throughout the neighborhood. This is going to be especially important in the summer months, as I mentioned earlier, that with the heat, it's going to make the effects much worse. I also want to point to the board's attention that in their application for this hearing, the applicant has stated that they're going to be planting vegetation screening on the property on the northern end of the paddock, as well as the western end of the paddock, which borders Goldenrod Lane. We ask that the board just makes this a formal proposed condition onto the property and kind of more spelled out what this looks like. We also ask that the vegetation be planted on a berm to help increase the potential benefits from the onset. Some examples of trees could be arborvitaes, just any kind of evergreen that will provide screening all throughout the year, and maybe if they can be planted at a starting height of around 6 feet, this would just help from the offset, just giving that screening. The screening would help with sight lines, it would also help with odor. It would just, and when I visited or drove by the applicant's property, I saw very similar kind of screening there. So it seems sensible to do something very similar at this property. I have no more statements.
Okay, fair. Okay. Right now, shall we read these other letters?
Since we haven't seen some of them.
What?
We haven't seen some of them.
Yeah, so I don't think you've seen.
There was one you guys will see, I think. The other ones I kept forwarding via email.
Yeah. Have you seen Zimmerly?
Yes.
Okay. Have you seen Zimmerly? And you've seen Reuben. That was the first one.
Roth.
No, Reuben's not the first one.
Reuben?
I thought it was Roth.
Roth was one with the question.
Apologies.
Roth is the one. Okay, you haven't seen Reuben and you have not seen the one you have. I thought so too, Dan, but that's okay.
Well, maybe I don't know at this point.
I can read it.
Yeah.
This is Richard and Elizabeth Rubin. Dear board members, I'm writing regarding the Fox Rogers application for a special permit to have a horse barn located on their property at 8 Goldenrod Lane. My wife and I own property at 315 Old Hay Road, which abuts the property that abuts the Fox Rogers property. So it's an abutter of an abutter. We have lived here for 30 years and intend to be buried in Wellfleet. We are not newcomers to Wellfleet. Although we did not receive written notification of their application or even of this meeting, we were informed by our neighbor that this zoning board meeting was occurring, hence this letter of concern. Our concerns center around the impact that their proposed barn will have on the quality of life in our neighborhood, specifically the odor and the breeding ground for insects and rodents that will result. While we all have established boundary lines that define our property, and while we have rights to do what we want within these legally articulated lines, we do not have the right to build structures that will affect the quality of air and water that cross the lines into our neighbors' homes. This is what we are concerned about, the balancing of one's rights with one's obligations and responsibilities to the people we live with, in this case, our neighbors. This is an instance where compromise needs to occur so that this barn and the number of horses that it will house be located on their property such that the odor, insects, and rodents will be minimized, as well as minimizing the negative impact it will have on all our property values. We are concerned that without the location being clearly articulated, Fox Rogers' rights will take precedent over the rights of their neighbors to breathe clean, odor-free air, and therefore the right to enjoy the use of our outdoor decks, porches, and yards. The compromises that we propose are only viable if they work. If, however, their proposed solutions fail, will Fox Rogers guarantee that the barn and their horses will not generate offensive odors and pests? What will those guarantees be? Without written guarantees and remedies, should what they propose not result in preventing the offensive odor, or that in fact it is not possible to prevent, then once the barn and paddock are built, the damage done will be irreversible. At that point, it seems that the barn would need to be removed. If that is unacceptable to them, then it would indicate that they are not confident of their proposal and therefore should not be given the permit to build the barn because of the risk it presents to all the neighbors. That said, and in the spirit of compromise, it seems that relocating the barn to the far end of the paddock area furthest from Goldenrod Lane would make the most sense since it would mitigate odor drift. Additionally, the movable tank that the manure would be stored in while waiting the transport and removal would best be kept close to the power lines, which would allow it to be accessible for the bi- or tri-weekly removal, as well as also being furthest away from the neighbors, again lessening the likelihood of insect and rodent spread beyond the property. We also think that the daily pickup of the manure in the paddock area is of critical importance and needs to be done multiple times per day. This is necessary to maintain the air quality which all of us value in this neighborhood. There's never been a mixed-use development, and their wanting to erect a barn to house their horses seems insensitive to the very nature of Wellfleet Woods. So while they may have the legal right to do so, we hope that the zoning board can also be sensitive to the impact that it will have on all the surrounding neighbors and endeavor to preserve where the barn, paddock, and manure storage must be placed, i.e. furthest away from the people who also live in this area, as well as what the remedies, consequences will be should the negative effects turn out not to have been foreseeable and or preventable. Thank you for your time and consideration in this difficult and unpredictable situation, and that is Richard and Elizabeth Rubin of 315 Old Hay Road. And you have the other one. Will you read it?
Do you want me to read it, or you want me to bring my computer to somebody?
What?
Do you want me to read it or bring my computer to somebody?
You can read it.
You can read it.
You can read it. Oh, bad reader.
If I may as well, right before.
Yeah.
I just want to make the board aware that my clients were also not made aware or notified of this hearing. And in the past, they weren't notified of the Board of Health hearing as well. And we're aware of other property owners that weren't notified. As, like,
Yeah, we have heard that. We draw an assessor's, the assessor gives us the list of who to notify, and Jen notifies the people on the list. So I do not understand if you are direct, she draws a line, and that's the people who are notified. So these people would not be notified because they're abutters of abutters and are therefore outside of that line they draw. I don't know about.
Do you want to see the abutters list? It
Yeah.
shows the little map of who is included.
Shows
And I'll read the letter in the meantime.
Yeah, right.
Okay, dear members of the Zoning Board of Appeals, our names are Nicholas Restifo and Maria Ionata, and we are the owners of 20 Goldenrod Lane and abutting property to 8 Goldenrod Lane. We will be traveling during the Zoning Board meeting and will be unable to participate, but we are grateful for the opportunity to provide comments regarding the above-referenced application for a special permit to construct and operate a private stable. We recognize the applicant's love of their horses and would have welcomed the opportunity to work together to mitigate the impacts of the proposed stable. We, along with our neighbors, reached out to the applicant's attorney several times to propose compromises on the placement of the barn. We even offered to help finance moving their well to facilitate placing the barn to the rear of the property, but unfortunately never received a reply. As a result, we must voice our concerns at this meeting and urge the board to scrutinize this application closely. We respectfully request either denial of the permit or approval only with the robust and enforceable conditions to protect the health, safety, and welfare of abutters and the character of our neighborhood. As the closest abutter, the proposed stable and manure trailer will have a substantial impact on our enjoyment of our home. Most critically, we are concerned about odors and pests. The proposed barn and manure trailer will be just over 50 feet from our guest house where our adult children stay when they visit and which we also use as a home office. We note that this proposal places the barn and the manure trailer closer to our home than the applicant's home. It is difficult to imagine how we would be able to open our windows on a warm day without being bombarded with the smell of manure and ammonia. Outdoor meals will also be far less appetizing. The fact that prevailing winds on the Cape blow toward our home only exacerbate this impact. In addition to the smells associated with the horses, we anticipate that flies and rodents will be attracted to the feed and manure. The proposed stable will change the character of the neighborhood and potentially reduce property values. The neighborhood is decidedly residential, not rural or agricultural. Most lots are small and close together. Approving this application would set a precedent that could encourage others to maintain livestock. There are communities in Wellfleet where livestock are common, but this neighborhood is not one of those communities. The presence of livestock and their associated structures and odors could reduce the desirability and value of homes in the neighborhood. We are concerned about the possible environmental impacts of the runoff from horse manure and urine, which contain large quantities of urea, ammonia, and nitrate. Our home is downhill of the proposed barn and paddock, raising concerns about well contamination for us and other downhill neighbors. Finally, while we accept the applicant's assurances that they are diligent horse caretakers, we understand that they are away from Wellfleet part of the year. We are concerned that whoever takes care of the horses while the applicants are away may not be as diligent. If the board decides to approve the special permit for the stable, we respectfully request approval is conditioned on the following mitigation measures to protect our interests and those of others in the community. Number one, move the manure trailer to the back of the property that borders the National Seashore, see attached plan. The proximity of the manure trailer to our home is most serious concern. The trailer is movable, so it shouldn't be a problem to relocate it as far from the street and neighbors as possible. Number two, move the horse barn to the center of the property at the far edge of the paddock, see attached plan. This small change would make a considerable difference to us without impacting the use of the barn or driveway. Number three, revise the manure management plan that was approved by the Board of Health to increase the removal of manure 3 times weekly and pickup of manure 3 times daily, at least in the summer months. In addition to helping with odor control, this change would protect wells from runoff. Require that this revised plan applies to anyone caring for the property when the owners are away, not the horses. Number four, screen the barn and paddock by planting mature evergreens as the applicants promised in their Board of Health application. We've planted a few rows of 6 to 8 foot Leland cypress trees between our properties to provide a screen, and we would like the applicants to do the same around the paddock. Planting trees on a berm can accelerate the screening effect. Establish a rodent control program that includes secure feeding and rodent-proof containers, sweeping the barn and feeding area daily, and setting up traps as needed. Our proposals to remove the barn and manure trailer and revise the manure management plan will also contribute to rodent and fly control. And number 6, annual review of compliance. Many thanks for the opportunity to voice our concerns. Nicholas Restifo and Maria Ionata, 20 Goldenrod Lane.
Okay. All right. Okay. Is there anyone else from the audience who wants to speak? Oh, Mr. Picard. So,
Oh, sure.
Hi, I'm Alfred Picard. I have horses on Route 6. I sat at the same meeting 2 or 3 years ago. This is nothing more than a second bite of the apple. All these people are doing are asking you for rodent control and horse shit, pardon my thing, all it is. And the Board of Health does that.
Yeah.
Because if you look in your footnote in your zoning book, it says we're their approval or guidance. This has been through the Board of Health, okay? So what we're hearing tonight, I'm glad that you take the time to listen, but 2/3 of this is what is their job. Not only that, these people are looking for a guarantee that this isn't going to go south. They only have a 1-year license. If they don't do what the Board of Health says, they don't get reissued. So you're not giving them something that's in perpetuity, all right? So you might want to look at it from that point of view. To say that Wellfleet's not a rural place, well, where this subdivision is, when we were kids, we rode motorcycles and horses there. We can't do that anymore. So it was at one point. were being phased out. I think that you should, I'm hoping you will look at approving something that has already gone in front of the Board of Health. I believe that they've set themselves on the stage for doing a better job than I've done. I only clean up twice a day. Board of Health will probably look at that as being great. So I don't understand I understand the concern. Maybe we can get rid of this idea by saying that it needs to be done more often and we need to move things. These people bought a piece of property, and they're entitled to do something with it. They can probably put the stuff where they would like to. I would hope that you would look at that favorably. But I think that the rest of the stuff, health, smell, I realize that's in your jurisdiction usually, but you usually don't have the luxury of having another board look at it prior to you do. The fact that they do issue the permits, the Board of Health does on a yearly basis, I think they have a little more handle on what we do with our horses and our animals. I'm not saying you're not capable, that's not my statement, but it's not that you guys have to go first. Somebody else did and looked at this from many different angles. I hope you approve this the way it is, and I thank you for the time.
And Mr. Zender, do you want to come back? I think we're...
We'll want to come back, but
Yes.
I want to make sure that
All
my
right,
brother
Mr.
has
Bell,
an ample
are you-
opportunity to say
anything
what he
else?
wants to say, so.
Yeah, and that raises a good point that the Board of Health has not seen this project. The Board of Health saw the 2022 site plan, and as we have discussed, there's been changes to this. The scope of the paddock has been increased. And the argument for increasing the size of the barn was they picked a quote-unquote better barn. And that's the reason for why they increased the paddock. With our proposed location of the barn, they would not need to increase the size of the paddock. There'd be more than enough room on the right or left side to allow the horses to come in and out of the barn. So if they want the increased barn, that's fine, but maybe not the increased paddock. And honestly, I think this might need to go back to the Board of Health, which Attorney Zender has already offered after this. But if it is of your opinion, maybe before you guys grant the approval. All right.
Okay, thank you. All right. Mr. Zender, I think we've heard from everybody who's here.
Can I have that list back, the butters list, sir?
Oh, sure.
Thanks.
I think we can come back to you.
I can get you a copy if you'd like.
Yeah. What? Oh, does he want to speak? I'm sorry, did you want to speak? Yeah. Okay. You have to come, it has to be formal. You have to come, you have to be on the mic, and you have to sign in.
So my name is Bob Peacock. I'm in a butter to an abutter, 10 Henry Dome.
Yeah.
And first I want to welcome you to the neighborhood. And I know I have 4 kids under 4 feet tall that would be very excited to see 4-legged animals around. But I just want to say that I hope that you all are sensitive to the issues of the abutters and myself as well as to odor mitigation and considering some of these proposals that have been brought forward by other neighbors of mine. So anyway, welcome to the neighborhood. The house looks really nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Please sign the sign-in sheet so I have your name. Thank you.
Sign the sign-in sheet.
I have so many things to say.
Okay.
Well, I hope that they include addressing some of the issues that
They will, no, of course they will. We don't have a zoning problem here, we have a cultural problem here. This is not a zoning problem. You have sat at this table over the last 15 to 20 years, and I have been before you, myself personally, for permits. You understand what the impact of a horse paddock is. You understand about odor control, you understand that horses are quiet animals, they're attractive animals, and you understand that the applicant has a right to fence the perimeter of her property and let this horse run wherever she wants, as long as she gets the permit. She's chosen to minimize the size of the paddock. Charlie and Ashley bought this property with their money. They're spending money to build a house. It's a lot of money. And they own this property, just like the people behind me own their properties. And they developed their properties where they wanted to put their houses, where they wanted to put their driveways, where they wanted to put their guest houses. The location of the paddock works for Charlie and Ashley. It puts the back of the barn to the public. It screens the activity from that location. It works in that location. The location of the manure trailer, Board of Health has a say in that. They'll put them anywhere the Board of Health tells them to put it. I can tell you from looking at the site plan that you've looked at, that A, you want your manure trailer to be near your horses, because otherwise it defeats the function, right? B, a horse is going to poop anywhere in the paddock it wants to poop, right? So putting the manure trailer on one side doesn't change a whole lot in that regard. C, you don't want to put your manure trailer in the well radii that are coming from the back of the lot. You don't want to put it near your well in the back of the lot. You don't want to put it over your septic system in the back of the lot. So this location works, and it's not unusual. Now, let me tell you about the neighbors. Ristofo purchased the land in 2021, built in 2025. They built 5,714 square feet of a house and another 400 square feet over the garage. They're at 6,114 square feet on that lot. That's a cultural change.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that would sit in front of you, and they have, and I've listened to them from behind me, that think that that is a horrific change to the culture of a neighborhood, okay? Ristofos live, and I'm going on assessing records, I'm sorry, but that's all I really have to work with. They live in Chevy Chase, Maryland, okay? The Rubens wrote a great letter. They have lived here for 30 years, and they plan to be buried here. I lived here for 5 decades. I'm not going to get buried in Wellfleet. Okay? So, but they get their mail in Guilford, Connecticut, and they're not registered to vote in Wellfleet. So, I'll keep going. Zimmerly live in LaGrangeville, New York. Mayflower Drive, I think that was Roth. Live in Wellesley, Mass. And the reason I tell you that is, this is a cultural shift in Wellfleet. When we grew up in this town, horses just came by our house. People like us who got in the horses came over, we were jealous of them. You know, then we got motorcycles. So it was a different world. When you walked around that neighborhood, what you saw was a rural neighborhood that has all of a sudden been inundated with very expensive homes. And the people that move here with those very expensive homes are not used to horses. And they think that those horses are going to do something that is going to upset them in some way. So it found itself in this hearing in a way that really didn't anger me, but annoyed me. What I heard from the neighbors was, we want to have some control over what you do. We want you to talk to us. We want to tell you where to put your manure. We want to tell you where to put your barn. Because you're not listening to us. There's something wrong with this prospect. Ashley didn't tell them where to build their house. She didn't tell them where to put the garage. She doesn't tell them where to park their trucks. She doesn't tell them where their kids should play. And they shouldn't be here telling them within the confines of a typical and usual stable permit, like the ones that you grant every time, where and how they should be located. And finally, you know, I just tried a case yesterday for you guys, right? That sounded remarkably like the first case that came up today. It kind of felt that same way, right? These are driven, this case didn't change. This is not different from the last one you granted, or the one before that. What's different is the accident of how your neighbors respond to your proposal. How many neighbors you have, what they feel about it, and I hate to say it, how well they communicate with each other. So for you to say for some reason that Ashley can't have this stable and can't have a paddock in the same place everybody else puts them, there's nothing remarkable about this lot. There's nothing environmentally sensitive about this lot other than MESA, and the MESA does not cover the area where the paddock and the barn is. You know, and anything that they do, and if you grant a permit, you're obviously going to make a condition upon MESA compliance and condition upon Board of Health approval. I hate to say this, but you can't give everybody else in town a paddock permit and not give Ashley and Charlie a paddock permit, because this one just happens to have neighbors from New York and New Jersey and wherever they're from that don't like horses. So I don't see a lot here. I see really, Charlie, and they plan on landscaping the property. They've left room to put screening in. We're not offering it as part of a landscape plan, because then all of a sudden your neighbors they're chiming in on what you plant. Ashley doesn't like Leland cypress. She doesn't like arborvitae, but she can plant something very attractive in there, and I guarantee after 4 months of those horses being there, everybody will be used to them. It's just the way that it works. So I'm hoping that what you'll do is you'll say, after hearing all the evidence, you can grant a special permit for either one of these applications, but that there will be no building permit issued for this, and operation shall not commence until they've complied with the MISA requirements, they've complied with Board of Health permitting requirements, and any other state or local regulations that come their way to operate this. And I hope you vote on it, and I hope we go home and have some dinner. And thank you.
Okay, I think I can go to the board. We've heard from everybody. Will?
Yeah, I mean, just my comments on the application. I grew up in a rural area. We had pigs, and we had cows, and we had horses. And pig manure is awful. Cow manure I sort of got to like, you know, it was spread on the fields. And horses just didn't smell much. You know, they just, I mean, it just didn't smell. You know, especially if you clean up the manure. And I lived, for 20 years I lived in another town, and they had horses right in the middle of the town, Amherst, New Hampshire. Horses right in the middle of town. And people walked by it every day, and no one ever complained. And boy, we had some rich people that might want to complain. And I agree with your comment. Boy, that White House next to this lot, I'd be much more upset if I had that next to my house than 3 horses. So I'm all in favor of this.
Thank you, Will.
Jan?
I also grew up in a rural area. Both my grandfathers were farmers. They had farms right across the street. I don't think horses that are maintained well do smell that much. Somebody, and I don't know if it was Ben or Alfred Picard, said that this isn't a rural area, and I would disagree with you. I think this is a rural area. Just because big houses have been built doesn't make it not a rural area. And I do want to point out that Wellfleet has a bylaw, a general bylaw, I guess we'll call it, Chapter 145, and it's a farming bylaw. And it was adopted in accordance with Massachusetts state law, and it encourages farming activities as a right, including the raising of horses, with minimal conflict with abutters and town agencies. I would like to ask Ashley a couple of questions through you, through Ben, however this works. I don't know when you're away or not away, and it's none of my business, but when you are away, how will you manage, how would you manage care of the horses?
Well, I have a little story about that. I just went away for 3 days. It's the first time that I've been away in over 2 years. We went up to our house in New Hampshire. The last time I went away, that was over 2 years ago, I went to our house in New Hampshire by myself, and my husband took care of the horses. Can't think of when I lost my horse sitter because she had to move off Kate. So we've been caring for the horses. It was just this past weekend was the first time I went away. So I work a lot. I'm not going away. I get away occasionally. I have a great new horse sitter. She actually lives in our neighborhood, but a little bit closer to the highway. When I say our neighborhood, our new neighborhood. So she lives in she can walk to our house. She's owned horses. She grew up on a farm out in either central or western Massachusetts and has had horses her whole life. She's in her early 70s. She's a mature woman, very responsible. I couldn't be any more pleased to have her come and take care of my animals.
Another question I have is, if you did move that barn to where what's shown on the annotated plan, would that impinge on areas that are mapped for like MISA habitat?
So the MISA, I have a copy of the MISA map with the proper overlays on it. So the part of the paddock is in the MISA area.
Present paddock? You mean the proposed paddock?
The proposed paddock?
Yeah.
But the barn location, both barn locations are outside of it.
Right.
I have a copy of it.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
To this side of the line. So moving the barn would, it'd be a MISA,
So we have.
so you can't move the barn, it would be a MISA take. Under MISA, it would be a take.
Where's the MISA area?
Okay. Okay.
Towards the power line, so they've located
Yeah.
the barn, and
Okay.
this line right here, the yellow right
Oh,
here.
yeah.
That's
That's
facing
Mesa.
this way.
Okay.
Got it.
So the house
But you
is
would have
facing
to-
it, but
you
the
would have to
paddock,
ask for
the
permission.
barn and the manure management is outside of me, you can't move it that way.
Yeah, right, can't move that.
Okay.
Right.
I see right
Okay,
here.
got it.
Was sent to the state, was reviewed by the state.
No, but not, no, if you moved it to the center of your property, that would have to go back to Mesa.
I believe it would. I mean, it wouldn't necessarily, so this area is already disturbed
Okay.
according to NISA, so they,
More complicated than I think.
Would it be a big deal to move your barn there?
You know, yeah, everybody should hear what she says.
Yeah, I'm not sure, I'm a little unclear still.
Okay.
so,
Go ahead.
Janet, do you mind asking the question again?
Um,
About the,
If,
moving
right,
the barn?
if you moved the barn to the area that the Olson's attorney is suggesting, would that impinge into areas that are mapped as habitat under the Massachusetts Endangered Species Act?
Yes. That area would be within that crosshatched area.
Thank you. That might be the end of my questions. Just give me 1 second to look. Oh, about the trees and the screening. I was just going to say, not what types of trees, but maybe I would like to make a condition that there
There be
be
screening.
trees planted on those sides. I think, yeah, that's it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Andy?
Yeah. Well, I'm still not sure where the Mesa is. Ben confused me. He always does that. He always does that.
We can show you again.
We can show you again.
The barn is not.
But what, you know what I'd rather, you know what's easier? This is easier. If you do it this way, then you'll address all of my questions. You don't have to just show me, well, you can show me. Go ahead, show me.
Show her.
You're up, show me.
She's up.
He's already moving.
She's up, and she's
So
moving.
let's take this.
Yeah, if you show me here, that's much more
This is
helpful,
what I do with my clients. So here's my lot.
right?
All this yellow cross hatching is the regulatory area.
Meaning all of this is Mesa.
All of this, yes, is
This
Mesa.
is the only,
Right, and you can see
yeah, now I
that the barn
understand.
is outside of that
I
area.
understand that, okay. But the paddock would not be.
The paddock is, portion of it is outside, but the majority of it is inside.
As is most of the lot.
And this plan here has
I didn't make the law.
the
Mesa.
Mesa regulatory review,
Okay.
and that's in your packet.
Okay.
Right.
Is it my turn?
Yeah, it was your turn.
Oh.
And then I'll take mine next.
Well, I must be the only person on the board who didn't grow up in a rural area. We haven't heard from Mel.
Haven't heard from me.
Yeah,
May say hi.
or you, sorry. So far.
Yeah.
Would it be possible to take the trailer to the dump more than once a week?
Well, I mean, that's,
Would you be willing to do that?
It's
Not whether it's possible, of course it's possible.
actually,
I mean,
Can I address that?
please address that.
Ashley's a full-time real estate broker. Charlie is an excavating contractor. To go to the dump, you gotta open the paddock, back your truck in, hook up the trailer, go to the dump. They're going to the dump anyways on Saturdays or whenever they have their time to go.
but with respect
Yeah.
to my friend, Mr. Picard, the regulation of the trailer is not a zoning issue. It is a Board of Health issue, and I don't think it's something this board has a
Well,
say in.
Well, with all due respect, I disagree. Not that it's not insofar as it's not something we regulate. I mean, remember, we have an overall,
Right?
oh, you're pointing to me.
Andy, it's only 3 horses. We haven't got a herd here. This isn't a barn full of dairy cattle, you know, this is 3 horses.
Yeah, it's not a lot of manure.
I know, that's what I'm saying. I know that.
Like, I mean, the manure, the weekly manure is half a trailer, and the rest of it is wasted hay. So there's also a lot of hay in there that covers manure. Very expensive hay.
Well, that's helpful.
I mean, there's, yeah, I mean, there's layers over it. So there's manure, there's hay on top, manure, hay on top.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not talking about a lot of manure.
Not any more than we heard tonight.
I mean, I would also,
That might include you too.
No,
Yeah.
I only pointed to myself. I had nothing, no. Yeah.
I would also
Sorry,
like
Beth.
to add that the great thing about the Board of Health and their control of the manure management is that the manure management, I've been doing this for 25 years. The way that I manage manure has changed greatly throughout the years. The first year, we had a big, huge manure composted pile. I mean, it was, that was how that was handled. Big pile in the yard. And it evolved into then giving away manure with somebody backing up a truck. And then for years, I used fish totes and brought them out at the street. They were all lined up at the street. Many people will remember that. And people used to come and pick it up until they smashed all the plastic boxes, and I got really upset. And and I eventually purchased a manure trailer. I've had the trailer for 10 years. And so it's likely, the manure management is likely to evolve, into, many different ways beyond the manure trailer. So it's not a stagnant plan. And I've actually spoken before this board as an audience member about the board started to become involved in the manure management and wanting to actually put language into the special permit. And I said, this is an evolving practice. It's not stagnant. So it doesn't work well from your board, but it works well with the way the Board of Health handles it because it's something that's actually reviewed annually.
So you're going to have the same number of horses.
Yes.
Ergo, the same probably volume of manure that I'm trying to get a sense as to what, if any, difference it's going to make if you go back to the Board of Health, what you have to do.
I do with one of the plans, yes.
Right. I'm trying to understand, for our purposes.
From my perspective, I think.
I don't listen to either of you.
From a zoning perspective, I don't think there's any difference in the plan, because I don't think a 24 by 32 building with 3 stalls has any different effect on the neighborhood than a 24 by 24 with 3 stalls. It just gives asking more room to maneuver within the building. From a Board of Health standpoint, I think it does raise the question of, okay, your plan is slightly different in terms of the orientation of the building. Where are you going to put your manure trailer? And it's possible that in the 2 years since she was there, they have some additional requirements that they're going to impose on her, and I have no idea if this evolving paradigm has created some new requirement they're going to impose. Somebody just mentioned in the back, rodent control. Maybe they're going to impose some additional concerns. But I agree it has to go back. I don't think that it would create a different set of considerations for this board in approving a special permit.
That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, and also to go back to one comment that Mr. Freeman made, I agree with Mr. Freeman. I think these are matters of concern for the board, meaning, because there's a general set of concerns in 8.4.2 about effect on the neighborhood and all that.
That's what I was trying to say.
And I understand, and you're right about that. But what I would say is that, yes, but if the board wants to require something different than the Board of Health for manure management, then it should be based on some science, not just the desire to, meet somebody in the middle or something like that. It should be based on, and I think Ashley has already testified that she's getting a half a trailer a week out of these animals. So I think that concern, hopefully, on your part, Andy, has been addressed.
Yeah.
So.
And with respect to whatever you're going to plant, can you give me sort of an idea as to what you were thinking?
There's actually a really good example of the types of trees and naturalization of the planting of the trees on Oak Valley Road. There's people who are screening their pool, and it's a mix. It's a really interesting mix, and I don't know all of the types of trees, but there's hollies in there. There's some cedar in there. Leland cypress is actually poisonous for horses.
Is what?
Is
Poison?
poisonous.
Oh,
So,
I
I mean, and you have to kind of look and see, and not that the trees will be up against the fence, but what happens is when the wind blows, some of those little, little branches break off and they end up in the paddock, because I'm actually struggling with that now.
Yeah, because you've got those Leland cypresses that have been already planted behind you.
Exactly. So that, we can't repeat that. So it'll be like, be a mix of like white pines, cedar, holly. There'll be some others in there. We had to cut down a lot of trees because we have both dying oaks and pines there. There was a lot of standing dead trees when we bought the property. They continue to die there. We had to cut down quite a few to get the modular home in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of landscaping that needs to be done on that lot.
But is it your intent to plant these trees or whatever, shrubs, around the paddock area or around?
Yes, well, we have we have the 32 feet and the 25 feet from the sidelines.
Yeah, right.
For us to do just that.
Okay.
And we have the equipment to do it. So,
Yes, I guess you do. All right, those were all my questions.
Okay. All right, it's my turn. So, and yeah, I will again channel Al. While I do think we have an obligation to, in general, to the neighborhood, when we start getting into the weeds of things like manure plans, which I think Ashley is correct, need to be updated, and the Board of Health needs to look at those yearly. I think those are not zoning concerns. Our concern is this a use that is allowed in the district, which it is, and have the setbacks and the site plan been considerately understood, and I think it has. So that's sort of where I am. I grew up around horses too, but I didn't grow up on a farm. All right. We've been through. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I didn't grow up in a rural area unless you consider Los Angeles a rural area.
Yeah.
Once upon a time.
different kind of animal.
Yeah, exactly. But I do frequently walk up Mayflower Drive, turn on Goldenrod Lane, and then walk along Old Hay Road and kind of do a loop through the woods. This is a pretty neat, wild area, about 200 feet, from your property. It's beautiful, and I often see horse tracks there. So there must be other people with horses in the area, and there must be stables, for housing those horses, because we see the evidence of the horse all the time. So there is that, sort of community thing that it's not purely residential. It's a mixed area. You can get wild very quickly just by going 100 feet to your north, past that monstrous house that's being built there. And it seems to me that moving the barn, 30 feet, to the east is not going to, have a great effect on odor or anything like that. So I really don't have any problems with this, as long as you comply with the Board of Health rules.
Thank you. Madam Chair?
Yes.
The thing that I don't know how we're going to do, how do we approve two different plans?
Well, we can,
I'm not sure.
we can.
Just, I don't know
We
the
can,
mechanics behind it.
I think we can, in fact, approve these plans because they're not substantially different from a zoning
We have to
perspective.
put that in our findings.
Yes, with the condition that nothing will be put in there until it has Board of Health approval. And then if we want to add a condition about screening, that would be the other. But yeah, I mean.
Do we need to mention? Do we need to mention MESA approval?
We're really approving the use.
But we have to stamp a plan.
Yeah, we can stamp two plans, but I mean, essentially, we're approving a use
Well,
of
no,
a
how to write
private
it up.
stable.
I'm talking about the
My own
mechanics.
sense, I think in the findings of the board, you can say that the defend, I'm sorry, the defendant, I'm still coming off the trial. The applicant presented two alternative plans,
Yep.
one of which has already been approved by the Board of Health, and the other which she's will seek approval for. She asks that has asked that the board endorse both plans.
Right.
To give her the option of building one or the other. And then just make sure we have both plans initially signed by the board.
Did you get that, Sharon? Because that's all I'm asking. How do we
Oversight.
technically go about it?
Approve in the alternative.
Plans?
Two plans.
One, I can
She's a
modify
teacher. She
these
can do it better
pretty
than I
easily.
can.
It's already gone out of my head.
Well, could we hear from opposing counsel? I think
We did.
Yeah, I think Jack wanted to speak. I'll
Yeah.
get out of the way.
Yeah. Second.
It seems where we're at now is just kind of the order of events, whether both plans are approved here, and then the 2025 plan gets kicked back to the Board of Health. Is there a possibility that we could have this as a continuance on the 2025 plan, go back to the Board of Health, and then come back here in a streamlined fashion, once the Board of Health has approved it? Because it's my understanding that in order to grant approval of this private stable, you need prior approval from the Board of Health. And you don't currently have
We
it.
can condition it on approval from the
Okay.
Board of Health. We do not have to have her actually come back to us.
Okay.
Yeah. We can simply condition it that nothing will be built which has not been approved by the Board of Health. Rather than having her come back, because it's another
And
application.
have you come
fee,
back?
Expense. Yeah. That's basically where we would.
And then I just want to address Board Member Freeman. Thank you for acknowledging the concerns about the weekly trailer removal. We understand they go to the transfer station once a week. Right now, we're asking for 3, even if they can agree to taking the horse manure trailer 2 times a week. That would make a big difference and at least show good faith effort, that they're trying to acknowledge the concerns in the neighborhood. And I do think this is within your purview, because in order to grant a special permit, you have to take into account the detrimental effects on the neighborhood that odor may have. And the odor, whether or not how intense it is it's still going to be there. I've had experience with horses. I went to college in rural Virginia. There was horse paddocks all over the place. And when you drove by there, you could tell. Don't get me wrong, cow manure has a little bit of a stronger smell to it, but I could still smell the horse manure. And even if it's just twice weekly, was it Saturday or Sunday you go to the transfer station? Was it Saturday or Sunday? You said you go weekly?
Well, that wasn't for instance, I just said.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that wasn't for instance.
Sure.
He's going for something else, right?
So let's say she goes on Saturday, if she could take the horse manure trailer on Saturday and then take it on Wednesday, just as an example. It doesn't have to be those exact dates or days of the week. Just small changes to the current plan that would alleviate the concern over the odor.
I think that's something you should ask the Board of Health.
Yeah.
I really do.
That really
Okay.
is a Board of Health issue.
And they might agree with you.
Okay.
Yeah, they may agree.
I'm sorry, I spoke out of turn. Excuse me, Madam
No, that's
Chair.
quite all right. It was correct.
No, that's true, you did. I was channeling.
You're usually much better than some people I know.
Sorry.
Are we ready?
Yes, I'll make a motion that we move to findings.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Al?
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
Will?
Aye.
Sharon, aye.
Aye.
Okay, all right, this is what I have. Now, we can change these around. I've been playing with them as it is. This is an application for a special permit pursuant to Wellfleet zoning bylaw 235/8.4B for a private stable. This is a conforming lot located in the residential R1 zoning district, and a conforming dwelling is currently under construction on the lot. Private stables are allowed in the R1 district by special permit under Wellfleet zoning bylaw 235-5.3A upon advice of the Board of Health, herein referred to as the BOH, and in accordance with restrictions that may be imposed. The proposed stable would include a barn, fenced paddock, and manure trailer, and would meet all district setback requirements for an accessory structure. The Wellfleet Zoning Board of Appeals, hereby referred to as the board, has made a site visit and examined all materials submitted by the applicant. In an August 19th, 2022 letter, the Massachusetts Divisions of Fisheries and Wildlife, hereby referred to as Mass Wildlife, determined that the stable would not result in a prohibited take under the Massachusetts Endangered Species Act. At their November 9th, 2022 meeting, the Board of Health approved an annual stable permit with conditions. The minutes of that meeting are hereby incorporated by reference and made part hereof. The Board of Health has continued to approve stable permits annually. Per a stable permit issued by the Board of Health on January 16th, 2025, this stable is permitted to house 3 animals. Ms. Fox provided the board with 2 versions of a site plan, one dated August 9th, 2022, approved by the Board of Health and Mass Wildlife, and a second included in her special permit application to the board. The 2022 site plan showed a 20-foot by 24-foot barn, a manure trailer located adjacent to the barn, and paddock fencing 25 feet at the closest lot lines. The 2025 plan showed a 24 by 32-foot barn positioned somewhat differently on the lot and in a somewhat different paddock configuration. The applicant has proposed staining the barn a dark color to blend better into the natural surroundings and planting trees on the west and north sides of the fenced paddock and barn for screening. I'm going to just leave those off. There was 1 appearance in support of the application. There were 5 appearances or correspondence in opposition to the application. There was 1 letter with questions. The proposed stable will not be more substantially detrimental to the neighborhood. The board has found that pursuant to Wellfleet zoning bylaw 235-8.4b1, nearby land uses would not be damaged by having the proposed use nearby. Uses of the site would not be preempted by this use. Roads, drainage, and other public services are adequate in relation to the location. The site is not more sensitive than similarly zoned sites to environmental damage from a proposal such as this, considering erosion, siltation potential, groundwater or surface water contamination, habitat disturbance, or loss of valuable natural vegetation. The board has found that pursuant to Wellfleet zoning bylaw 235-8.4b2, A, C, D, and E are not applicable, and B, there will be no seasonal consequences. The board has found that pursuant to Wellfleet zoning bylaw 235-8.4b3, there are no scenic views that would be affected by the proposal. There is no traditional public access to or along the shoreline that would be affected by the proposal. Reasonable efforts have been made to minimize visibility of parking areas from public roads, and there are no service areas. 18. After considering the district objectives for the district as provided for in Wellfleet zoning bylaw 235-3.2 and the relevant criteria set forth in Wellfleet zoning bylaw 235/8.4b, the board finds that the proposed stable will not be more substantially detrimental to the neighborhood because Wellfleet is a rural community where stables have traditionally been allowed, and where the town's Chapter 145 farming bylaw, in accordance with Massachusetts law, encourages farming activities as a right, including the raising of horses, with minimal conflict with abutters and town agencies. Mass Wildlife has determined that the proposed stable will not result in a prohibited taking under the Massachusetts Endangered Species Act. The Board of Health has approved stable permits and manure plans for the applicant since 2022. The applicant has proposed staining the barn a dark color and planting trees to help mitigate abutter concerns, and the applicant has demonstrated that the benefits of the proposal will outweigh any adverse effects on the town and the vicinity. That's what I got.
Move to accept findings.
Okay?
Condition,
Those are after.
okay.
Yep.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now we move to conditions.
Okay.
So, condition number 1 is that no stable will be built without an approved plan from the Board of Health.
Correct.
Yep. And condition number 2 is that applicant will screen the area with appropriate vegetation.
Do we mention which sides?
Sure.
There's very specific sides. Is it north and west?
Screen the
North and west sides.
north and west side.
Did we write the condition about, there's 2 plans?
About what?
Not
That we did.
condition, but part of the findings.
Yeah, she read it.
Yeah, we put
She
it,
did.
it's in the findings, yeah. But this is applicant will screen the north and west sides of the area with vegetation, with appropriate vegetation.
All right.
I'm not going to tell her what to plant. Okay? All right, then I need now you move to approve the permit with the conditions.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Ashley's going to take the plans.
Okay.
Once you sign them.
Okay, we need to stamp both, three sets of overlays. And you get to stamp. It's your turn.
When it comes out. And the final paperwork too. You're going to record everything.
Here's two more. This is another one. More plans. We need more plans.
Where I stamp them?
You take this stamp,
Yep.
go like
Not
that.
This one. Approved.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Approved, yeah, sorry.
Anywhere-
Anyway, and you
anywhere-
just anywhere on it, and then you give it to me and I initial it and date it.
That didn't
Just
work.
stamp a whole bunch of stuff.
Christmas Day, but we always get
All
together.
right, you take this off.
No, I don't,
Yeah, it's gotta come off.
it has to come off?
Yeah, otherwise it won't
Oh,
work.
there it
you
goes,
go.
okay, you got it.
The 27th, that's a Saturday.
Strong like bull.
Yeah, for Christmas.
We
we'll
still
be
have
here.
minutes, don't put your hat on.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're
Yes,
never
ma'am.
going to be, we're never going to
I
leave,
apologize.
just understand that.
You doing okay?
Ah.
You never said to be able to.
I know, I tried.
You know what? I should keep you when you start.
Wait a minute, why am I, why?
Thank
yes,
you.
thank you.
It's
Thank
wrong.
you.
What did I just do?
Thank you very much.
What's this? You're welcome.
Thank you.
Are you sure? And I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, that's
that
right.
set of, that letter. I'm so glad they said something. That was the first one that came in. I saved it to her wrong.
Anything else?
Here's another one.
What you said was.
Ashley, I
for an
need to give
asshole,
you one of each of these.
Well, I'm so used to being at the lawyer, you know, yeah,
Now, let me see what we got.
When you started telling us what an accessory. Yeah, I guess so.
So you get one
Oh, yeah, yeah.
that's straight and one that's
Contact info for
cockeyed. Now you have your two. And Jen keeps the other two.
you two. Well, midnight at this point. No, it's 10.
Which ones do you, what? Talk to Jen. She knows more than I do about that. That's in her wheelhouse, it's
Nothing feels like
definitely
it's in
not
my
in mine.
wheelhouse right now.
All right, so we've got
I said nothing feels like
these
it's in
two,
my wheelhouse right now.
and do we have two cockeyed ones? We need one more cockeyed one. Give me that cockeyed one.
Cockeyed.
That's the only way I can distinguish between them.
Let's take this off. What'd you do?
Don't be kind to it.
I'm kind to everything, you should know that.
I know that. It's very nice, but you don't need to do it in this case.
We didn't ask the question specifically.
It wasn't our question.
We don't-
Stamp
that
that
one. We got enough now.
Okay.
You'll tell Ashley what she has to do. You have two cockeyed, you got two cockeyed and two straight. You will work them out. All right, I need a motion to approve the minutes of 10:23.
So moved.
Need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Move that. Al.
Aye.
And who seconded?
Dan?
Everybody did.
Yeah. Aye.
Just make up.
Aye. Aye. And I need a motion to adjourn.
I
So
move to
moved.
adjourn.
Second.
Yeah, it was about.
Accessory.
Al.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.